What's going on? What's going on to all my embracers out there? This is Grace from Embrace the Grace. And we got another good one today because I cannot believe how much feedback, pushback, comments, sign language, you name it, that I've been getting over this topic. But we're gonna address it because this is what we do here at Embrace the Grace. We embrace the truth. We embrace your truth, and we have those uncomfortable conversations. So before any further ado, I am going to allow my colleague to introduce himself because I always like to have people on my panel to get different perspectives. I'm working on getting more women here. At the end of the day, I am an advocate for men. So I do get a lot of pushback from women, but that's okay. That means I'm doing something right. So, True, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the audience where we can find you, and go ahead.
Um, Hello world. My name is Daniel Rush
So, go
with
ahead.
True Table. Pretty much my topics are centered around what Grace talks about, men empowerment, relationship dynamics, and just pushing people to promote the betterment of themselves. So I'm here for all of that, support what Grace is doing. So just trying to add to the conversation.
Absolutely true. And I was talking to a coworker of mine today, and she was like, you know what? Your ideas and your questions are thought provoking. They make me think because these are things that I never ever would have thought of. I just want to give a shout out to my new colleague, the actual King Smith. Thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. I know you have somewhere else to be at 9 o'clock. The fact that you even showed up means the world to me. So I really do appreciate it. But you can always catch the show tomorrow when I premiere it, and talk your stuff on there too. So again, thank you. I know you're popping in for a minute, so I do appreciate you, actual King Smith. I mean, if you want to hop on here real quick and just to introduce yourself, you're welcome to. If not, that's okay too. But with that being said, True, this is a topic that I didn't really think that it was a big issue, but it's been made a big issue. And the topic is, who do you feed first? The husband or the man of the house or the children? I'm going to ask you first for your input because I think most people who follow me already know how I feel, but I'm really going to break it down to them because I myself, while I was doing my research, I learned a lot, and just how much symbolism that one act means in the household is unbelievable, and the magnitude. But True, unfortunately, the world that we live in. Well, anyway, I'm not going to get into it. I want to see what you have to say. Or you know me, I got videos and I've gotten better on my videos. So we can either go into a video or we can get into your perspective a little bit later. What do you want to
Let's
do?
let's do the video. Let's see what they have
Okay.
to say and build some
Okay.
more
I
content
had
out.
four.
Okay.
Last week I was 4 for 5. So
Okay.
I'm doing better.
That's a good ratio. It's a good ratio.
All right, so let me go ahead and do what I got to do here. Everybody just be patient with me because we're building this plane as we fly. Right now you guys are on board Soul Plane. So that's how it goes. So let's see. We're going to do this one. We're going to share. We're going to press play.
Or the kids. If you don't know the meme, it's right here. Boom, done. All right, so you seen the meme? You know what I mean? It's right there. All right, so let's get into it. So, ladies, I know y'all gonna be in your feelings. Yeah, I know. Listen, you in the back. You single, ain't got no man. You gonna be in your feelings. A few, I know. It is what it is. We gotta talk about it because the men, we gotta step up. We gotta stand up for what's ours. All right, so first off, first things first, ladies. In the meme, okay? Because y'all don't be paying attention. In the meme, kids first, okay? And I'm gonna break down why. But it doesn't say there's not enough food, okay? It doesn't say not enough food. That's a whole. You know what I'm saying? Now, if there's not enough food, then that means, you know, parents, y'all need to get a job. Y'all need to do what you got to do. All whatever you got. First, so that means everybody one. That number one. You in the back. First things first, ladies. You ask too damn much, okay? You ask for too damn much, and you don't give enough in return.
Because I honestly want a 6 guy.
You know, some of y'all ask for too much, okay? First off, you want a man who's 6 foot, at least 6 foot above. Okay? He got big D. You know what I'm saying? He got.
It's raining here, guys, so the internet's shaky.
And so you mean to tell me over 6 foot? Job. He paying the bills. Okay? Got the baby, okay? You don't want to be faithful. He faithful. Okay, you know what I mean? He loyal. You know what I mean? You want to herb all the chick, herb all of it. That mess. Shame on you. Shame on you. Then you wonder why. Because y'all ask for too damn much. Ladies, it's 2021. Okay? Y'all ask for too damn much. Okay? You ain't going to have jealousy. Some damn bills. He got muscles. He's in the gym. This and you. I know I repeated myself, but of the ladies, okay? Because first off, number one, you ain't teaching, man. Fuck them kids, okay? I said it. Fuck them damn kids.
What did you say, nigga?
Right? Sometimes we be sitting there. No, man. These kids be growing up. They don't be giving a damn about you. They be quick to throw your ass in the nursing home. You think about, you think they're gonna remember the time when mom fed me first? Hell no, they're gonna be in the nursing home. Bye, mom, you doing too much. I'm trying to do my thing. Okay? These kids, they need examples. Okay? They need examples. Especially, now we're gonna get a little serious. But especially in the Black home, they need examples of how a household ran. Something to look up to. So the man doing that, then they respect. Again, I'm not saying there's not enough food in the house. Food in the house at this point in time, you know, you need to do your priorities ain't together. But this is enough food. There's enough food for everybody. Ladies, serve that man first. He done work. He's paying the bills. He done gave you them baby. He's doing all this stuff. Now, I know in some cases, you know, you got these mixed families and all that other stuff. Ladies, you still should serve that. He's taking care of kids, even his, and you ain't even gonna feed him first. And some of y'all ladies, you know, fellas, I feel bad for y'all. Because some of these women, you don't even want to eat their food first. The kids don't even want their food. You know what I mean? You know, some of y'all, you know how your cooking be. You know what I'm saying? Like recent this.
Okay, so that is the first video.
I'm gonna get a peanut butter and jelly. I'm not.
Give me just a second to
you know
stop
but
it.
for real, ladies, you know what I'm saying? Get that up out of your head.
Okay, so that was the little ghetto side of it, you know, because I got to come through all perspectives. You know, we're gonna do the ghetto side, we're gonna do the proper side, we're gonna do the biblical side. But what did you think? I mean, he dropped some gems, but what did you think, True?
I think he's absolutely right. I mean, it was comedic. But truth be told, I don't even know why it's a conversation, you know. In the tagline, it said husband. So I would assume husband is pre-children. I would assume that if you're becoming a wife, you're on board to make sure that your man is provided with the simple thing like nutrition, respect, and so on and so forth. So those kids come post-marriage. Why would the kids arrive and now be first, and then your husband falls into a secondary position? I kind of don't understand that.
And
You know,
that's an awesome thought. And I'm gonna tell you why. And this goes back to my show that I had, the single mother epidemic.
Mhm.
Because they've seen their mother and they've seen their grandmother, they haven't seen a relationship or a marriage or a man in the house. So therefore, they haven't been given the example of what it is to hold on just a second. Hey Gary, how you doing? I put the link in there just jump on in. Okay. So the thing is that they don't know. They don't know any better. And that's why when you see what's unfolding on my videos, one video has to do with the last, and the last video has to do with the last, and things are unfolding. So how is a woman going to know to feed the man of the house first if she never saw a man of the house? Okay. All right. So we got Gary here. Let's go ahead and add him in. How you doing, Gary?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So I'm going to go ahead and let introduce yourself to everybody and where we can find you. My internet is a little shaky. It's storming out here. So if you see it, spinning, that's the reason. But we're just storm ain't going to stop this show. Okay?
Gotcha. Hey, the show don't stop.
Exactly. So go ahead, Gary. Introduce yourself to everybody and tell them where we can find you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gary D. I am president of Boardwalk Global Media. We're a boutique multimedia entertainment and podcast company. We do about 7 different shows. You can catch me live on 2 of the shows. One is called The Control Room, which is on Thursday nights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And the other one is called The Real Discussion, which is on Friday nights from 8 to 10 p.m.
That's a good one.
We stream on Facebook, we stream on YouTube, we stream on Twitch, and there's going to be a couple of other platforms coming in the next couple of weeks. So we're expanding our distribution. I'm also owner of ESI Global Group, which is a artist and management company, or I should say it's a management and advisory company where I deal with the management of artists and also consulting boutique entertainment companies. And I'm happy to be here. I definitely enjoy what Grace is doing. She's having some real conversations here. And thank you, Grace, for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that introduction. Gary's all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. He's doing a lot. Okay. And I have the queen. I am Shelamika here today. And I really am inspired by this queen, because she is trying to do the same thing that I am doing. She is way bigger than me, but she is so humble. And that's what I love about her. She took the time to talk to me yesterday. We actually exchanged numbers and we talked. She don't see her 85,000 subs. She just sees what I'm trying to do. I see what she's trying to do. And like I said on the top of the show, I am trying to get more women on board with me, because we're out here. We're out here. We just have to collaborate, and that's exactly what we're doing. So guys, please go ahead, check her channel out. She is a beautiful queen who has a lot to give and teach us. She teaches us about grants for businesses. She teaches us about business credit. She does it all, and she's humble. And then I have Mr. Philip here. Good evening, Miss Embrace the Grace. Thank you for coming through, Philip. I really do appreciate it. Now, I did drop the link. So if anybody wants to come up here, feel free to do so. But Gary, what we're talking about tonight before you chimed in is really something like True said, that he can't believe that this is actually a conversation. But you would be amazed. I mean, my TikTok was off the chain today, and I kept telling them, save it for the show. I'm not going to go into it right now. Gary, True, I got called old. I'm living in the 1920s. I must be single. I mean, it was the sign language. It was crazy. And I'm like, can we not have an adult conversation without the insults? And I said, no wonder we're so lost in the sauce and we act like this. We can't even articulate a conversation without the insults. So again, who do we feed first, Gary? Do we feed the husband? And I should say the man in the house, because you really don't have to be married. That's the ideal scenario.
Yeah.
But who do we feed first? Husband and or man of the house, or the kids? I showed one video already. That was the Ghetto Fabulous video, which he was good. He articulated it. He said what he said, and I agree with what he said. But I'm kind of leaving my perspective till the end, because I know most people that know me and are in my audience, they already know where I'm going to go with this. But I'm looking for pushback. I'm looking for people who disagree with me.
Right.
I can tell you some of the conversations that I've had throughout these past few days once I introduced this show. So Gary, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts, well, let me just say, I think traditionally, a lot of people, I guess a lot of women has been brought up to serve the man of the household first. Even in my family, it was that way. But as I've grown, right, and I've gotten to understand, my kids, my little nieces and nephews and stuff like that. I think with me, I would if I'm man of the house and these are I have my wife and my kids, as the man in the house, I'd like to see my kids. Like, I don't mind seeing my wife feed my kids first, because I'm the provider, right? That makes me feel good, right? So in that scenario, to me, I don't have a problem with that. Now, if it's a situation where, let's say, I'm stepdad, if you will, and I'm the man in the house, I would leave it to her discretion, because if I'm still providing and these kids are treating me like I'm their dad, then yeah, I feel so I think that it's just, I do understand there's the respect of, the woman showing the kids, like, look, the man is the provider, you serve him first. But I think, to me, as the provider, I want to see my kids eat first, because everybody wants to see their kids happy, right? And I wouldn't mind, or I don't mind, if my kids get fed first, and then, but also too, I think what would happen is that my wife, she would tell, or even if my fiance or my lady would tell our kids, well, look, here's what she does. So it's not something that they're going to see, like, they're going to understand, like, daddy likes seeing you eat first. He provides for you. So there's no misunderstanding. I think that a lot of times in this new generation, there is no talk. There is no discussion. You're not explaining what's going on.
That good old communication, right, Gary?
Right. Good old, like we always say, the communication, right? So kids have to understand too, right? Kids have to understand too. So they can't. I think what has happened is that since that communication is gone, a lot of these kids just take things for granted, and there's no explanation, there's no understanding. So they run wild with it. But I think in my situation, I don't have a problem with my kids eating first, because if I'm providing for them, a roof over their head, bills paid, the toys, all the shit that they want to do, I want to see my kids happy. So I don't have a problem with them eating, with them being fed first.
I hear you. I heard you loud and clear, but I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree.
Okay.
And maybe it's because I grew up seeing. I don't care if it was the nanny, if it was the maid, if it was my auntie, if it was my godmother, if it was my older sister. My father always got fed first, and it's just it was natural. And then it was my brother, and then it was me, and then it was my mother. We all ate at the same time. My father would wait for everybody to be served, but he would always be the first one to sit down, and his plate would be placed in front of him first. And I did my research, because you guys already know I don't just come up here and talk shit and just talk on the side of my neck. I talk from experience, and I do my research. And the thing is that kids need to see an example of a marriage. You see, my dad and my mom were married first. Then came my brother and I. Like that guy said in the video, fuck them kids. Them same kids are going to be the one that are going to put you in a nursing home. Them same kids are the ones that are going to give you attitude and not call you for 2-3 weeks at a time. But that husband is going to be there before, during, and after. Now, guys, remember, we're talking in an ideal situation, how it's supposed to be. Yes, there are a lot of dynamics of families first. There's stepdads. Even if you were a stepdad, I would still feed you first, because my son would have to see that I am treating you as the man of the house. You are my provider. You are my protector. It says here, he is the head of household. He pays the majority of the bills. He is the protector. The presence of the man shall be served. And like, again, it depends on cultural practices. It depends on the dynamics of the family. And it depends if the food was plated on the table or buffet style. There's so many different factors that we can put into. But at the end of the day, if you, me, Gary, and my son, I'm fixing your plate first, and I'm putting it in front of you first, and then my son. And he has nothing to say about that, because at the end of the day, you brought in the groceries. You're going to get the big piece of chicken. You're going to get the biggest ribeye, because you deserve it. And the symbolic symbol that it says in the Bible, it is to honor and respect the man of the house. And that's what I'm trying to teach these young men too. Y'all men need to start taking y'all head of the table and be the kings that y'all are, and stop allowing these women to treat y'all any kind of way. It's all good on payday. It's all good when you need your hair and your nails done. And I told one young lady today at work, so we're going to send when there's a burglar in the house, we're going to send the kids first, right? No, I'm going to send my man. I said, so they're good enough to take a bullet for you, but they're not good enough to get served first. But you see how something so basic and so simple can have so much symbolism and meaning. And that's what I'm trying to get even men to understand, because a lot of the men that I spoke to felt just like you, Gary. No, I want to see my kids eat first. Go ahead, True. Go ahead.
No, I want to ask, you said a lot of the men. Can I ask a question? And this is just for my own for my own reassurance. Were these men of chocolate persuasion?
Yes, and that's what bothered me the most.
Interesting. Okay, continue.
a lot. Now, most of the white men that I asked, about half of them said the man first, and the other half felt just like Gary. I want to see but at least I got 50% from the Caucasian race. But most of all my black men were saying, no, the kids.
That's telling.
You know why? Because they were raised in a single family household, and they didn't see their mother with a man serving him first. So of course they're gonna say, I even caught a couple. I said, okay, guys, I have a question for y'all. And I introduced myself, and I asked, and I told the man, don't answer. I want to hear her question first. And she said, I'm gonna feed my kids first. My dude grown, he can feed him damn self. And I wanted to look at his reaction without her noticing me looking at his reaction. And then I'm like, okay, so what about I said the same thing. So what if a burglar comes in and you want him to protect you? You know what she said? Well, shit, as long as one of us get to the piece first, I'll do it. I'm like, what? So if something happens to you, who gonna take care of the kids? And then she stopped and thought about it. I'm like, you see? So then I asked the guy. I said, okay, so who do you think should get? And it's like he was nervous to answer the question in front of her. And I said, don't be scared to talk. What's she gonna do? Beat you? You know? And he was like, he said the same thing. Hold on. We have Miss Cynthia Bell trying to come through here. Hold on.
Yeah. But why you
Miss Bell, can you hear me? Same thing. Hold on. We have Miss Cynthia Bell trying to come through here. Hold on.
Yeah. But why you?
Yeah, she has a little trouble logging on sometimes. So we play with it throughout the whole show, and she'll get on. I'm not worried about it.
As you were talking, I was thinking about something, and I'm pretty sure both of you have seen this movie. Really, really classic movie. Boys in the Hood. I believe. What was the director? Anyway,
John Singleton.
John Singleton, yes. And there was a scene in that movie where it was the barbecue scene where they were all out, and then all the guys got up and ran to the food, and then I think it was Cuba Gooding's Dre was like, hey, you know, let the women eat first, already, you know, whatever. And like you were talking about symbolism. Now that scene to me was a depiction of what our community is stacked against. It's not that it was right or wrong, but in our community, it is overwhelmingly promoted that the men are second and the women are first. Now, I'm not saying the women are second, and I'm not necessarily they're saying the women are first, but I do believe that there's structure. And even in that scene, what could have happened is there could have been, because there was women and there was men, what could have happened is it could have been a combination of both. It could have been some of the women grabbing the plates for their respected boyfriends or husbands or whoever and serving those men, you know, to where they didn't even necessarily have to go rush towards the plates. It could have been a combination of both. But the point is that there's always a disparity. And that's why I asked you a moment ago, were these men that they look like me, that they look like Gary? Because I've seen the same thing where in our community, it's like this, you know, don't you go ahead and tell, you know, a woman that look like you what you want. You'll be shamed, you'll be ridiculed. And it's such a small thing, but it is large. You know, it speaks to volumes. When Gary was talking about he wanted to see his children served, you know, with much respect, I think that is a good heart. I think that that's a, you know, a good practice. But I also believe, like you said, Grace, that we as the men have to show first, meaning structure, meaning how things are done. And then on top of that, what I remember being as a child is that because I did have my father there, there was an earning of certain positions, even something like the head of the table, or, you know, when I got to an age to where I could even move the car, you know, there was always you're the child, I'm the parent, I'm the father, this is your mother. And then as time goes on, we empower you with the keys of the house. We instruct you with certain things. And something as subtle as getting served first as a kid, if it's not shown structure, you know, then it makes it even hard to blend outside of your community, because a lot of our people cannot go to other people's house and have dinner and not offend those other cultures because they don't have those same cultural practices. But that's just
exactly.
I think
hold on, let me bring in Miss Cynthia. Gary, hold that thought. Miss Cynthia, can you hear me?
Yes.
Nice. No feedback, no background noise. Look at you. I knew you was gonna get it. And you know how I do. Go ahead and introduce yourself and let people know where we can find you.
Okay, my name is Cynthia Bell. I'm a author, a playwright. I have a wellness company, Cynthia Wellness Products. I've been around for a minute, and I'm just glad to be here on the scene to listen to what you all have to say. I have a lot to say about it, but that's about me. You can contact. I mean, my email, CynthiaBellProductions@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So Cynthia Rice on Instagram. So follow me if you can.
Awesome. So I'm just going to continue with Gary's thought, Miss Bell, and then I want to hear what you have to say because we all learn from each other. Okay, there really is. Well, I think there is a right and wrong answer, but because of the world that we live in today, I have to learn to also be open-minded because this world has changed. And let me read this quick comment. It says, Mr. Phillips said, I guarantee people were married a lot longer than they were today back in the 1920s. And that's exactly what somebody clapped back, one of my followers, to the person that was clapping at me about I'm old and I have not the mindset of the 1920s. If you realize divorce rates are at 80% right now, but back in the 1920s, divorce rate wasn't. And I can't say it's because of this serving a man first, but it is, because if we serve our man first, we honor our men first. So go ahead, Gary. What were you going to say?
Well, one, I believe in a structure, right? And I think one of the problems that we've had in our community is that, one, as I've always said, they haven't been the communication. There is some women that like to emasculate their men, right? To me, if you're in a relationship and as the man, you're the head of the household, then yeah, you make sure that everything, is right and proper and stuff like that. So, and by no means do you allow your lady to emasculate you. And I think what has happened from what I've seen, where there are those women that's like, oh, well, yeah, my kids are going to eat first, and they talk to their man any old way. Like, I don't play that. Like, I'm not that guy, right? I'm not. So you're definitely going to respect me in the household and what I do, and what I provide. And yes, we will have a structure, but to try to emasculate me and make me look like I'm less than, or make your kids feel, or our kids look at me different. No, they're like, that's not gonna, so there will be structure, there will be communication, but again, I don't mind if my kids get served first, but is it a deal breaker? No, it's not a deal breaker. I mean, if we're married and you come from a structure of you want to serve the man first, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm like, okay, fine. So, but I will say other things in the household, in raising kids, what you do, yes, you provide a structure on how certain things are done. And as I've always said, with the communication discussion, when your kids go out elsewhere to, I don't know, their best friend's house or their classmate's house, they know how to conduct themselves.
Exactly. So tell me, Miss Bell, what's your take on this? What do you have to say?
Well, I got to be honest. Me personally, when I was growing up, my stepfather worked from 3 to 12, so he was home with us when we ate dinner. But even in my first marriage, even now being married, Johnny gets served first. My husband gets served first. He's never requested. He's never asked. But as respect for the man of the house, even if we have guests, I'll plate his food and set it aside if he doesn't want to eat with us. But most times, oh yeah, I'm gonna serve my husband first. Now, my mother came to visit me, and Mom she says, "Oh, look at you! I can't believe you. You know, my husband. I set his plate. I set his whole plate setting. I do that, and I've been married going on 29 years. Johnny has never asked me to do it, but out of respect for him, I do it. You know,
Bell,
and so
that's why
just
you're
how it
still
goes.
married. That is why
I
you're
don't
still
know.
married at
I
29
don't know
years.
about that, but that's what I do in my home. So it is what it is, but it works at my house. My husband, you know, he gonna get his food first. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
You
And
know,
not just Thanksgiving, and not just on her holidays. Even if I go to a barbecue, if me and Gary was to go to a barbecue, I'm getting up and I'm making his plate. I'm refreshing his drinks throughout the whole barbecue. I felt bad, but an argument actually broke out because they saw me fixing a plate for my ex-husband, and the next guy said, you see what I'm talking about? This is why we go out with Spanish women, because they're raised to cater to their men. You can't even boil water. I'm like, oh.
If there was women and there was men, it could have happened. It could have been a combination.
And then here
some of the
comes,
women grabbing the plates for their respective boyfriends or husbands or whoever, and serving those men. You know, to where they didn't even necessarily have to go rush towards the plates.
It could be me.
The point is that there's always a disparity, and that's why I asked you a moment ago, were these men that they look like me, that they look like Gary? Because I've seen the same thing, where in our community, it's like, you know, don't you go ahead and tell, you know, a woman that look like you what you want. You'll be shamed. You'll be ridiculed.
Do you think that could be the Facebook line?
But it is large,
right?
So it speaks to your volumes. When Gary was talking about,
let me see, Trey. I'm going to remove you and you come back in. Okay.
With much respect, I think that is a good heart. I think that's a good practice. But I also believe, like you said, Grace, that we as the men have to show first, meaning structure, meaning how things are done. And then on top of that,
have a YouTube on?
As a child, is that because I did have
Miss Cynthia. Okay, I removed Miss Cynthia and something that's okay. She'll figure it out. So there was a whole debate about it because I kept getting up, giving him his cold beer. You know, I have a habit of, you know, I like to drink my Heineken straight out the freezer. So once
amen.
Once I take one out the freezer, I'm putting one in next. You know, so it's I would order, and that's what one of the people that I asked, True, he asked me, well, what is your ethnicity? And I said, I'm Hispanic. He was like, you see, you automatically are going to fix my plate because it's embedded in y'all. And then there was a black female standing next to him, and she just rolled her eyes. And I said, well, it is what it is. But that doesn't mean that there's no room to grow and we can still learn, because it's really done out of respect and admiration for the hardworking man in the family. It's just a little token of appreciation.
And I agree with you. You know, what I find most interesting about topics like this is that, you know, and you said it several times through, you know, your spiel, you're trying to adopt to what's new. But I find it interesting because what's new is not really what's new. Like this isn't
not working.
Well, it's not only not working. See, America is the newest nation amongst nations. America is an infant amongst the globe. And most of what we're talking about is not a broad perspective. It's not a global perspective. They don't even have these type of conversations about relationships, about what a man does, what a woman does abroad. And they have, and their cultures have outlasted American culture for decades upon decades, right? So I find it very interesting how this nation tries to say, well, this is how things are now. And it's like, but it's not proven. This is a test. Like we're conducting social experiments.
I was just going to say that. Yes.
It's not working, but
if it ain't broke, why fix it?
Why
It was
fix it?
working
Exactly.
back then. And again, what I want to tell these ladies is, what is the big deal of fixing your man's plate? When you go on an airplane and the plane is going down, what do they say? Put the mask over your face first and then the children. I mean, I don't want to say like this, like the guy said in the video, fuck them kids. But come on now. What I'm trying to get out there is, the vows were made clear that the relationship comes first. It is one of the biggest reasons why your spouse should always come first. Putting the children first diminishes the commitment and dishonors each other. And with that being said, a man came back and asked me, well, I do most of the cooking, so who do I serve first? I say, you serve your wife first, because that's who you married first. Your kids came later. Your kids are going to leave you, and your wife is still going to be there annoying you. And he started laughing. So we can even go another layer. So if my husband does most of the cooking and I'm sitting down at the table, I might even like, babe, go ahead, sit down. I'll fix the plates, you cook, but if he says, no, I'll fix he should be fixing my plate first and then the children. Again, it's all about the marriage, because putting the children first diminishes the commitment and dishonors each other. And putting each other first creates the kind of confidence that causes love to thrive and children to feel secure. So again, that little token that everybody wants to make a big deal of is showing the children, hey, they're married. It's husband and wife. You know what I'm saying? We're a team. But if I feel that sometimes us parents, we pour too much into our kids and not enough into our spouses and our marriage. And that's why a lot of times marriages break down. And then we start taking sides. We take the sides of the children versus, no, it's not that way, and it shouldn't be that way. And again, guys, I know that we're living in a whole different world, but back then it was working. Divorce rate is at 80% right now. So obviously our new generation and our new thought way of thinking is not working. It's not working. So I'm going to go to another video so you guys can breathe a little bit. And now first we had the Ghetto Fabulous perspective. Now I bought their perspective. So give me just a minute. Now, Ms. Bell, this is why I want to bring you into StreamYard when I sent you the email, to have you as an actual co-host on my account, so you can start sharing videos, you can maneuver, do all the little things that I got going on. You see my little banner, just in case you guys want to support. Please press like and subscribe, and definitely support the channel, because as everybody knows here that are content creators, this takes time. This takes up a lot of our time, and I don't mind doing it. And at the end of the day, I'm really not doing all this for money, but it would be nice. You know what I'm saying? That's just the cherry on the sundae. Okay, so let me go ahead and bring in this video. Give me just a minute. Share screen. Share screen. Right here. You guys see it?
Nah. Okay.
Hold on.
Training that we've been through since we were little children, the teaching of education and the whole thing. We've always been taught, put everybody else first, right? Well, Jesus said, let's religion, let's take all of the religious dogma that you think that you know or you think you believe in and put it to the side for a second, and let's just talk human nature. Okay, let's talk about the reality. Feed my family first. If the plane was going down, I'd put everybody else's masks on first. See, I believe in a philosophy, and one of the realities of Lions Not
It's storming
Sheep,
out here,
one
guys.
of the
Just bear with
mantras
me.
and very deeply rooted beliefs of Lions Not Sheep is the king eats first. You see, there's no nobility, friends, in being broke. There's no nobility, men, in saying, well, I'll sacrifice others may live. Again, take your religion and take your Bible verses that you're about to go Google and try and throw at this and put them to the side for a second. I want you to just really contemplate this. And who has a family, if you have a wife and children, and there's one meal left, and you have not eaten and you are literally starving to death. I'm going to feed my family first. I want you to contemplate this. A true king ensures that his kingdom is protected, provided for, abundance. My freezers are full. My children's bellies are full. My belly is full because I provide. Now, I want you to contemplate this for a second. The average man, the mortal man, would say, well, really, bro? I would eat it, and then I would go to the mountains and I would hunt, and then I would make sure that I brought back abundance. There's no nobility, fellas, in walking around acting like you're a martyr, acting like, oh, I'll sacrifice. Who then provides and produces for your family? What happens to your kingdom while you're dead, man? Your wife, your children, the women and children, what? They either will starve to death and die themselves, or they will go find another kingdom to be a part of that will provide, that will produce for them. You see how this works? When I say the king eats first, it rustles everybody's feathers. I love Jesus Christ. And I know you're a liar because human nature. You don't understand how to actually provide. Most of the men that say these things are barely scraping by themselves. And saying, I would die versus live. Air to breathe. So by you thinking your nobility is just going to make you this poignant figure, you've not only died, but you have allowed your family and I'd put everybody else's mask on first. Everybody else first. I last. I'd go last. Oh, look at me, world. Oh, I'm the martyr. Feels so good for me. Bullshit. Fucking cowards and liars say that. What a king. Fuck you. We're gonna fill the freezers. We're gonna make sure the coffers are taken care of. Do us first. I'm gonna do me first. I'm gonna eat first. Why am I gonna eat first? Because me having allows me to then help others do the same thing. If I die, there's no nobility. That's what a coward would fucking do. I go in the mountains, I hunt. I go in the mountains and I work, I provide, I put coins in the coffer. So many of you walk around acting like there's nobility in being poor. Acting like there's nobility in for everyone else. No. You want to bring Jesus into the equation? Go out and be the fullest version of you. What did he do with the talents? You want real? You want the guy that buried it and did nothing with it and acted scared and played small. We all know how that plays out. So keep your mom, keep it nice to yourself. Because the king eats first. And by me eating first, my kids' bellies are full, the coffers are full, and I'm able to help millions and millions of people do the same thing. The king eats first.
Alrighty then. That was a little bit harsh, but like I said, I have to bring all perspectives into it. You know, it makes you think. Okay, so the kids eat first and the man doesn't eat. Now what? So what are your thoughts on this video now? Now that you saw a different perspective, guys, we'll start with Gary. What do you have to say about it?
I mean, I think that, look, I hear what he's saying and I do understand. You know, everything's not so cut and dry, right? And maybe in some people's perspectives, or maybe that's their reality. I think that he has some good points that he said, but I also think that, you know, there's some people that have a way of, I guess, putting their words together to get their particular viewpoint across.
Mm-hmm.
And in me listening to what he's saying, I hear what he says. I definitely understand, but I think that for him to basically, because he's making the case of, well, oh, it's, you know, it's absolute that the king eats first and everything else comes secondary, right? And I believe that as the head of the household, you know, like I said, it's, you know, for me, I don't have a problem if my kids eat first. However, you know, clearly to his point, I make sure that everything is well taken care of. But also too, I think that to imply that, you know, for someone that doesn't follow that, they're either weak or they don't have things together. You know, when you're raising a household or you're raising a kingdom, you put in structure. And sometimes everybody's structure is not the same. However, you want to make sure that just, you know, not only your stuff is together, but you want your people to eat, right? And I think to his point, it's, you know, I demand, you know, because I'm king, I have to eat first, and I demand that I eat first. You know, maybe that works for some people.
He took it to the extreme.
Right. Well, maybe that works for some people, but I'm just saying, like, to me, my reality, if we're married, I'm not going to argue with you whether you serve me first or not. If you come from that background where you serve, absolutely. But is there other things? But it's not good, in my opinion. You know, it's not going to throw the kids off like, oh my God. You know, it's not going to make me look less of a man when they see what I've done for the household, right? It's not saying that you have to serve me last all the time. But I think that to where he's putting it is that, you know,
it's mandatory.
It's mandatory. And I don't believe it's mandatory. And I think in this day and age, one of the other problems is that you have a lot of these women they're emasculating their men. So there's a lot of men that's allowing certain things, right? So dynamics are very different. And I will say that 20 years ago, well, not 20 years, so our grandparents and our great grandparents, their marriages, yes, absolutely have been longer than ours. But you know, that's a different time. Now, I think that nowadays our marriages could be just as long if there was some of the same principles that were applied. But that can't be the case now because You have so many people, so many women want to be independent. So many women want to be emasculating their men, and that's just not going to work. And how can you be in a healthy marriage or a healthy relationship dynamic if you're trying to emasculate your man, right? That's not going to work. So to have a kingdom, you want, in my view, you want a king that's going to be, yes, an alpha king, who's going to be respected, and is going to understand how to, what's the word I'm looking for? Is
Be
good
able to compromise and be reasonable.
Well, yeah, I don't. Okay. So a king has to know how to lead, right? And right, a king has to know how to lead, right? Some leaders want to lead by force, and you don't. I don't believe you have, like, that would be the extreme, right? I mean, and I think when it comes to being a leader, it's about people management. And if you don't understand, and if someone doesn't understand that, then yeah, you're gonna have problems. Now, so a king is a king has to know how to manage people and be able to be a good leader. So I'm just saying, to his point, he's putting things to the extreme, and I think times change, and you got to be able to adapt with the times. But adapt with the times that's still where you're still in that king position, but you don't have to, it's not, is this way or the highway, right? You can still, I think the notion of, if you're not served first, if the king's not served first, it makes you look less than, which I disagree, because there's so many other things that make someone a king. There's so many other things that a king does to make his kingdom happy and provide and stuff. So it's not a one-sided thing or a one-dimensional thing. And also too, the serving is not something that, it's probably not all the time. Maybe sometimes it may happen, but going back to my original point, for me, I don't mind seeing my kids eat first, but being in a household, right? But being in a household where my kids understand, and my wife understands where I'm at with that, and there's no, it's not a toxic environment, right? Mm-hmm. I think that nowadays you have a lot of kids that's in those toxic environments. So that's not going to work, right? In that type of environment, it's not going to work, because
they're food fighting at the table versus serving the man first.
It's not going to work, right? It's not going to work. When you have kids that respect the dad, the wife that respects the husband or the man in the house, then you can do stuff like that. But if it's already where it's toxic and the woman is already is emasculating the man or doing all these other things, then yeah, that's not really going to work. That's not going to work.
Absolutely, it's true. So what did you think? I mean, I know the video was kind of extreme, and this is what I've learned, and this is what I learned through Kevin Samuels. God bless his soul. I didn't agree with everything that he said. I filtered what I liked and agreed with, and if it didn't apply, let it fly.
Exactly. I agree. I completely agree.
Things so personal. It's like, just listen to the message, absorb the message, and if this helps you become a better girlfriend, a better wife, a better fiance, just showing your man a token of appreciation by giving him his food first. Maybe he's never had that before, and you show him that alone can show him, love and appreciation. So let me read this comment real quick, True, and then I'll come to you. Ms. Rivera said it also shows the children the unity between the parents. Exactly. Because you guys know, whoever has children, that these kids try to play against each other. So I've learned to play good cop, bad cop when it was me and my husband underneath the same roof, because we would know when he was trying to manipulate us, because we would come back and, you know, he tried to go and do this and told me that you said. It shows unity. Daddy comes first. My husband comes first. And that's how I feel about it. But True, what did you think about that video?
I didn't have any real issues with what the man was saying. I think that, you know, because we're talking about the modern time, I think people spend too much time on the nuances. I think that most people are intelligent enough to understand what is trying to be conveyed in someone's point. And I think that people are just hypersensitive, and they spend a lot of time of, you know, trying to draw the very small exceptions to what may be the general rule. You know, like Gary was saying, in his household, it may be nuanced, not a big deal. He's going to lead in other ways, and that's fair. I think, though, that it's usually often telling to me that most men don't even understand they're being mistreated, because sometimes they're not introduced to certain treatment, so they don't know the difference. And
right. No, he's absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah. And so, like you said, Grace, and I can speak from multiple perspectives, but being wrapped in this chocolate skin, I've had different experiences. I can tell you that some of the treatment that conducts itself heavily in our community is not proper treatment. A lot of it is very traumatizing. And most of the time, our men don't know the difference. So they just accept what's presented. To Cynthia's point, a nuanced point to me would be, well, in some cases, if that man works nights, for example, and dinner is usually served at 5 o'clock and he's at work from 3 to 12, well, that may be a situation that he's not necessarily served first, or you can see it happening. But then if that is the case, and that is your household, well, then that environment still should be, you know, created in a way that there is a treatment per se. You know, there's certain things that are conducted. There's an essence that is there when a man is present in the household. You see it in the kids, you see it in the woman, you see it in the kingdom that he built. And so something as small as being served first is a very, very small element of that man existing in the environment. I think, to your point, Grace, it's just almost like a reminder of sorts. This is the lifestyle we're living. This is the way we conduct love. This is the way we show love. This is the way, you know, we move about the day. The father, the head of the house, or whoever gets his food. Not really a big, you know, huge deal, but that's what I thought.
You're right. You're right. And Miss Cynthia, what did you think about that?
Well, I thought, listen, the man on the video, listen, first of all, no, absolutely not. Because listen to what he said. He appears to be the kind of person that says, we're all going to have sex one way, and that's missionary. And that's not going to work for me. So what he was saying, listen, no, absolutely not. Okay. So he was making a demand.
Okay,
listen,
I mean, that's so clear, Cynthia.
A great leader has to be a follower at some point in time. Okay, he stood there. He said he mandated about he gonna eat first. Okay, so we grown people. I know we on the podcast, so that means to say, okay, you get yours, I don't get mine, so that's okay. No. I believe, and I'm going to continue to do this. Okay, my husband is going to get served first. Whoever has a problem with that. Now, there are some things in my household that my husband already know is non-negotiable. But that situation there, the kids know, you guys eat. Let me take care of your dad. Let me take care of my man first. Okay, if you got a problem with that, then you can just, I don't know, you can go outside and eat. It's up to you. But I definitely had a problem with the man in the video, because no one mandates a king, a good leader don't have to mandate anything.
That's right. Agreed.
What's understood doesn't have to be explained.
Exactly.
I would have a little pushback to that, Miss Bell, because I think that it's, and I hear this a lot, especially in the Christian faith. They talk about a lot how biblically God is not a negotiator. You know, he does not ask for permission in a sense that he mandates. He says, this is what it is. What we find in this particular country is that we have a democracy. In any kingdom, even kingdoms that were existing on this planet, there was no democracy. Kings mandate, kings set structure, and there is no, well, maybe if you want to. No, they lay down the mandate and you could either adhere to it or not. Now, what I think sometimes is conflicting is that because we have so much freedom, because our country is dictated by policies that change on an annual basis, we have this idea that things can be negotiated. Some things just are, you know, and sometimes extremes are easier to explain. It's kind of like standing on a train track and negotiating with a freight train. You're going to mandate that you can stop this train, and some things just can't change. Now, that's an extreme comparison, but I think that it needs to be understood. And that's why I said the nuances in the argument sometimes, if we're talking about intelligent people, some things don't have to be explained. You know, that's why I said at the beginning of the podcast, something like being served a plate, to Gary's point, even myself, I think that I'm a developed enough man that it would not wreak havoc on my masculinity or my perspective if that didn't occur.
Exactly.
But it feels good though, doesn't it?
Well,
Well,
yeah.
Can I just say something? It's so you said something earlier about grace where you know, being at a barbecue and like I think it was either you or I forgot your name.
Cynthia.
No, not the
True.
the other. True, yeah. So some men in our community have not experienced what it is to have a woman cater to them. He's absolutely right about that. He's absolutely right, because they may not have seen or came up in a household where they've seen that, right? They might have been, you know, dealing in a dysfunctional situation. So some of them don't understand. Now, there are others of us who have dealt with that, who understand what it is to have a female cater to us. And cater is not a bad word, right? It's not a bad word. So to your point,
Child made a song about it.
right. So to your point about being in a barbecue and serving your man first, most guys like that. It's like, wow, like, and some guys who never even experienced that would be like, wow, like, wait a minute, your lady does that for you? Now, to you, that's normal. Or to you and your man, that's normal. But to some other guys, that may not be normal because they've never experienced that. So, you know, and I think that's something to also pay attention to, because there's a lot of us that never experienced that. So they wouldn't even know how to deal, right?
Well, of course.
That's why
I mean,
we
and
have-
I know it sounds crazy, but they wouldn't even know how to deal. So for that person to get into a situation of being the head of a household, he's gonna have problems.
And you're right, and like that. Well, that's why I was trying to, you know, unpack this. You know, to Cynthia's point, and I just think that sometimes it's so disheartening, because from the man's perspective, women ask us to be the leaders, but I don't think they take into account that when being the leader is not telling everybody what to do. Being the leader is understanding the huge responsibility of what my choices are, and those choices affecting everybody that is following me.
Exactly.
So if I'm willing to,
some women won't even allow you. They want a leader, but they don't allow the man to be in his masculinity, because the women are being raised to be independent. You don't need no man. You don't need that. You want an independent, but you want a man to take care of you. You want to be independent.
You can't have it both ways. It doesn't work like that.
Exactly. You want to be independent, but you want him to pay for dinner all the time when you go out. Exactly. You have women nowadays walk around so self-entitled, so self-absorbed and selfish.
But look at the type of men. Look at the type of men that they're choosing, and then they wonder why they got problems.
let's go even deeper.
And then when you call them out on that, they got an attitude.
But
Let's
listen,
go even deeper. Look at the type of men that they're raising.
But
Well,
listen,
see,
listen, a woman has to know her power. Listen, a man has to know his power, and a woman has to know her power. And let me tell you something. I've been independent, being married the first time for 11 years, and then now 29 years, taking care of my own kids, putting them through college. Listen, it's not so much that I needed a man, but I wanted a man. But I think women, we need to get back to our power, because if you really think about it, a woman can get a lot of things done. Now, in my household, depending on what time of day it is and what hour it is, see, I know my power, and I'm not being arrogant, but I know my power. So women have to learn. They have to learn, and the Bible tells us that the older women, you teach the younger women which way to go. And there's a scripture for men as well. Okay, but women have to be taught. And some women, they come from a family where they see their mom cater to their dad. That's fine. But you got some women who, like myself, I didn't see my mom cater to my stepfather because he worked. Hell, he worked from 3 to 12, and then on Saturday he worked another job. So it was basically my mom and us.
How did you know? Okay, so perfect example. You didn't see this growing up, but how did you know, and why do you choose to serve your man first if that's something you never saw or learned? Where did that come from?
The first time that I did it, I saw the response. And I said, you know what? I'm like, hell, okay then. All right.
That's all
okay.
It took? That's all it takes?
The first time that I took the initiative to show, just to me, it was basic kindness. And I'm like, well, damn, I'm getting this kind of response. So it became embedded in me. So I don't have no problem catering to my spouse, my husband. I'm not gonna cater to every man, but my spouse, the fundamentals of things in the household, I will do. And that's because I learned my power. You have to know your power, baby. You have to know it. If you don't have any power, you don't think you're worth anything, you're going to give out what you're going to give it out. I know that may sound a little, I don't know.
You spoke about
Bell,
power.
we don't hold back over here.
I wanted you to expound upon that. When you say your power, what are you referring to exactly?
Well, I can't take for granted that everybody is a Bible scholar. I'm married to a preacher. Okay. I'm not a Bible scholar, but I know a lot. I consider a woman having the spirit of Esther. Matter of fact, I did a production about that, the living spirit of Esther. If you read the story about Esther, how the king summoned her, how he just was in tune to her, because Esther knew her power. And it's just knowing your worth, believing that you're going to get the best if you give out the best. Okay. Absolutely. Esther was a beautiful woman. She had an array of fragrances. Those things appeal to me, even though you guys may not admit to it, but those things appeal to men. And
I conclude you're right. I agree with you.
So, but again, you have to know your power. You can take the most non-attractive woman, but honey, if she got that power, she can rock it. Okay. Absolutely. She can rock her household. And that's what I'm about. Give you an
example. I know you asked Miss Cynthia Bell. I'm gonna give you an example. I know better. Gary comes home from work. He's tired. He's had a long day. I know better not to come and bring him stress or confusion the minute he comes in the house.
Power.
I know to let him unwind, go take your shower. I got a drink ready for you. If the game is on, the game is already going to be on. Men need to come home and decompress. And then once we're eating or politicking, or I'm giving him a massage on the back, I'll be like, Gary, we're kind of behind in a couple of things. What are we going to do about it? It's all in the approach. Women, like she said, we do have power, but we have to use it accordingly. You know, we have to understand that men come home to peace. They want to come home to peace. They have to deal with their jobs. They have to deal with the white man. They have to deal with the black man. They have to deal with the police, and then come home and deal with somebody that's stressing them. No wonder sometimes they don't want to come home and go to the bars and hang out.
And you know something, Grace, the power can't just be, we're grown people. I know we're on the podcast.
Yeah.
The power can't just be between the legs, baby. That's not it.
Absolutely.
You gotta, and maybe I'm speaking from the point of being mature now, you know, being in my second marriage, my relationship, but it's little things that you learn through trial and error, and just some things are just common sense, you know. So
a lot of women don't take the time to learn their man, how your man moves, what he likes, what he doesn't like, what annoys him. Why do you keep, and especially if he voices it. If a man voices something, I don't like when you do this, and then you still keep doing it. And women, stop trying to learn men from other women. Yeah, I know that's kind of oxymoron. I'm a woman here, but at the end of the day, the reason why I'm so knowledgeable with men is because I talk to men. I listen to men. I've been around men all my life. So that makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. Let me get into these comments real quick. My queen said over here, absolutely. And then Miss Almond Eyes, I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome. She said, women need men, period. And I'm gonna give you a message that was given to me on my DMs, because I be telling people, don't be trying to clap back on me publicly, because then when my followers or my subscribers clap back at you, don't come crying to me, because I can't control other people. So she DM'd me and she said, hold on, I lost it for a second. It said here, I serve, they eat, all together like an effing family in my crib. And I agree, men and women, two different people, and women are 100% better at anything that men can do. I didn't even respond to that, because you know what? We have to stop thinking that we're equal to a man, because we're not. We're equal in our own ways. The order of operation is the children belong to the women belong to the men, and the men belong to God. Okay? God created man. Hold on, because I got it here. It says here, for what purpose did God create Eve? God decided that Adam needed a wife to help him and be his companion.
Helpmate.
It is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. We are a man's helpmate. We are not a man. Yeah, we could do a lot of things that men do, and some of us can do it better. But at the end of the day, and a lot of women don't like when I say this, a man can live without a woman, but a woman cannot survive without a man. And we have to stop thinking that we're so arrogant and self-entitled. And, you know, some women clap back to me and tell me, oh, we can survive. I said, sure. Let the lights go out and the power grid go out. You gonna go out there in the buckets and the light poles and go fix that? Let the fiber optics that men lay down and dig ditches and stuff, and your internet is not working. You gonna be able to fix that? Let a water pipe bust. Look how many pipes. I'm in Georgia now, and the weather is freezing up here, and a lot of these pipes can't handle the cold weather, and these pipes busted. You gonna be able to fix that? If you call a plumber, 95% of the time is going to be a man that's going to show up. And all I'm trying to teach women is that we need to appreciate, value, and respect our men more. It really does. You know, like I told my manager today, so you're going to make this place look like it threw up flowers and balloons for Valentine's Day. But what about for our men? What are we going to do for our men? Women expect all this, but give so little. Same thing on Mother's Day and Father's Day. I'm not saying don't value yourself as a woman, but we gotta start paying attention a little bit more to our men. And just by serving his plate, like Miss Cynthia Bell said, it was the response that triggered her to keep doing that. Something that's so insignificant that most women think. is so significant to a man and so meaningful. So whoever I date, I'm not going to allow you to fix your plate. Even if you cook, I'm still going to make your plate. If my man worked 3 to 11 shift, his plate is going to be wrapped in the microwave and ready to go. And I will be up waiting for him when he comes home. I don't care if I got to be home at work at 6 in the morning. Once you get in that shower, that microwave's going, I might go right to bed, but I'm warming up your plate and you're going to eat. If I can stay up with you and while you eat, but if not, I'm like, baby, I'm going to bed. I'm tired. Here's your food. And that's just my way of letting him know, thank you. Thank you for paying the bills. Thank you for going to work. Thank you for even though I work too, but I'm sure that the man will show his way of appreciation to me. But at the end of the day, guys, all I'm trying to do, ladies, we need to appreciate our men more, especially our chocolate men, because they go through so much already. You know, and trust me, guys, I get called all the names. I get called a pick-me, a ninja lover, weak, I'm too submissive. You know, one said, oh, you're probably single. That's why you talk all this mess. I said, sir, yes, I'm currently single, but I was married for 14 years. So I get it. I've played the role and I'll play it again and again. And I just don't go too far. I like the show that you did, Miss Bell, talking about doing girlfriend duties, but not being a wife yet. But that's kind of like a catch-22 because you have to already be a wife, because he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. So us women, we want us to see your husband material to pay bills and lead and follow, but we're not willing to show a man if we're wifey material. And a man knows as soon as we open our mouths and how we move, if we're wifey material. I told my son, let's do an experiment. Date a girl from a single parent household, and date a girl from a 2-parent household. And I want you to take notes, and I want you to tell me the differences that you experience by dating these 2 different girls. He was like, okay, Mom, you know, I'm not going to force it, but if it happens, it happens. I'll document it. Because there is a difference. Hold on, I'm getting bombarded with comments. So let me go ahead and so Almond Eyes came in and said, this is what it's supposed to be. And then she said, where's my, come on. Hold on, I have, look who's joining the stream. Hold on, how you doing, Israel?
You know I couldn't be talking shit and don't show up and support you.
I know that's
I
right.
got
Israel,
you, I'm here.
Israel, introduce
What's good,
yourself
panel?
to the panel, because this is
Shalom.
and how long have you been sitting in here?
About 90 seconds.
Can you hear?
I heard what you said.
So
You said he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. That's why I
what we're
chimed
talking
in there.
about today is Israel is who should be served first, the man or the kids? What's your take?
It depends on who cooked, because don't forget both Moses and Aaron served. He served the women first, and he served the kids first when he cooked, and when they cook. So it really depends.
All right.
Absolutely. And I agree with you, because I got hit with that today. The man said to me today, well, I do most of the cooking. So where do that come in? I said, well, then you serve your wife first. Again, it's all about the sanctity of the marriage first. So if Gary cooked, you damn right I'm gonna be sitting down waiting on my plate first. And Jordan can sit right there and wait, and he will be all right. He ain't gonna die if he could wait an extra 30 seconds. Sometimes I'll plate all the plates at the same time, but I always make sure that I place that plate down in front of the man first. Let me get into the, because I'm in you might as well just get on the panel, but I'll read your comments. She says this is what it is supposed to be. And then she came back and said, at bare minimum, it's respect. And then this is a good one that she said. She said, come on, show up. Okay, she's calling it power, but it's femininity. Okay, so the power that you're talking about, Miss Bell, can also be used as a word as our femininity. And then she came back again and said, bad train of thought. If you act like a wife, why expect him? If you don't act like a wife, why expect him to take a chance on you? You're absolutely right. That's another queen that's on board with I believe in, because you know what? It's like a man buying a car. He's not going to buy the car unless he test drives it and looks at it and asks questions about it. Is it a V6 engine? How does she drive? You're going to look underneath the hood. It's the same thing. And we do the same thing with men. We look for men. The first thing we look is characteristics, because that's built in us, because we're thinking about procreating. He has to be tall. He has to be muscular. He has to be this. He has to be that. That's embedded in us. But at the same time, we want the man to do everything, but we don't want to do much of nothing. So I have another video, guys. So sit back and relax. Give me a second, because you know me, I like to show videos just to show different perspectives, that I'm not the only one out here talking crazy. So give me just a minute. Right here. Share screen. Share screen. Then we go here. And then this was funny, guys. Don't hold on. Let me just play.
Ooh, baby, some of y'all ain't give me a chance to put my wig on. The rest of us, y'all scroll over to the side. Let me tell y'all something. When it comes, I can't speak for nobody else. And I'm sick of people asking this question. Who you feed first? A man or the kids? The kids come first, the man come first, whoever come first in your house. Let me tell you something. We all don't have the same lifestyle, okay? Okay? Some of y'all may get food stamps. Ladies, y'all ladies working or either get food stamps, food for your house. And this man just coming over eating. I don't blame you. Feed your kids first if that's the case. No. But when you got a provider and a protector, and every piece of food come through that door come from his blood and sweat, yeah, you gonna feed him first. Yes. Because guess what? When my kids grown now, but when they was coming up, they done ate at school all day. They busted the dough good. They snacking, eating. My husband on work from dusk to dawn. Yeah, we all getting on the kids. Y'all pulling boots off while I'm in here. Cause make sure we good. So if you ain't had that, you would never understand the concept if you ain't had it. So don't come for me. Then you know. Until you have it, then you won't understand it. So until then, you keep feeding your kids first. And when you get that, then you make sure that black king get the big piece of chicken, okay? Feed him first and make sure he get the big piece of chicken.
Okay, so you know, that's just another perspective on the same thing that we've been talking about. And like somebody on the panel said, if you ain't never been treated that way, True said it, you don't know that you're being catered to. You don't know that you're being mistreated. So, but that's why I'm here. That's why Gary's here. That's why True is here. That's why Israel's here. That's why Miss Bell is here. We out here trying to teach these young heads. You know, and I love the fact that I have a lot of different age groups on my panel, because we can see different perspectives of things. And we need to just do better, because when we do better, when we know better, we're supposed to do better. So now there's no excuse. If somebody watches this podcast and sees that it's a positive thing to feed your man, to plate his food first, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with changing our behaviors to better our household and our relationship? Let's embrace it.
Well, Grace,
you know?
Well, Grace, I want to say this before I leave. You know, when I
Okay.
was with my husband and I, when we were courting, so you guys are too young to know about the word courting. But when we were courting, Donnie would cook and he would call in my office. He would say, Cynthia, stop by. And he had, a whole dinner cooked. And he will serve me. And I'm like, okay, all right then. Okay. So as the relationship grew, there was no conversation. There was nothing about to reciprocate because he did it to me. So why not? I think women today, we need to just step back and like the woman said about our femininity, we need to step back. We already know we have the credentials, we got degrees, we got all of that stuff that men have. But you know what? We can't do what a man do. We just can't do it. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, what are you talking about? We can't do what a man do. So listen, all I got to say is, women, listen, if you got a king, treat your king good, honey. Be like Esther, honey, because at the end of the day, Esther got it all. Okay?
I know that's right.
I Cynthia want it all. I'm not going to say I got it all now, but I want it all. Okay?
I know that's right. And Miss Bell, wait till you hear the next topic next week. It's going to be about who sits in the front seat, the mother or the daughter. I know. I know. Hey, I'm telling you, it's going to be a good one. So chime in if you can, because I'm telling you, we have to change how we see things, because obviously the way we're doing things nowadays,
it's
just not working. No. It's not working. And the thing is, it's okay if it's not working, but let's admit it, acknowledge it, and change it for the better. But don't even want to do that. Don't want to take accountability. I mean, come on. We have to embrace something for the better.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys. I'm going to have to sign off because me and my husband, we watch Family Feud. This is our time, so okay. I'm going to time off until next time. And it was a pleasure to speak with you all, and I cannot wait to the next topic. Okay.
Absolutely. And I'll see you Wednesday on your topic. Okay.
Yes. All right. Bye-bye.
Good night, my dear. So you see, we have so many different perspectives of what's going on. And Israel, because you're the newbie right here on the panel, do you have any thoughts or anything you want to add to this?
Courting is an interesting term, and I think we use it almost interchangeably with dating. But courting used to be between the families, not between the individuals. So when you wanted to pursue someone else, you had to go through the family, and they supervised that interaction. And even the young lady was just on here. She's not old enough to remember.
With you.
Well, no, it was no dating. You went to the family. You went in the house, and the whole family. Mama was there, Big Mama was there, Grandma was there, Granddaddy. Yeah, you didn't go out.
It wasn't no dating. Yeah. He's right.
It wasn't no dating.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was courting.
So you see, that's before my time.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying about what the young lady just said. You would have to go back to like our grandparents and great grandparents. They were courting. And when you want to approach a woman, for example, you had to know her brother, her father. You had to get permission to engage that process, and it was always supervised by with the families being involved. I don't know if the guys probably remember Godfather. Like you took Godfather 2 when Michael wanted to entertain a lady. Well, how did Michael start that process? He went to the restaurant where the brothers and the father was working.
Yep.
And he had to get permission from the father. And then when he got there, the whole family was there. And they supervised everything. That whole interaction got supervised. That was courting. That's Godfather 2 with Michael.
Oh, I got all three of them.
That's the classes. We all, you know, the brothers is gonna watch that. You know, that's a
Exactly.
must have for us. You know,
You already know. You already know.
And
that's
remember
the
when the
must
men
have
used,
for us.
remember when the men used to ask for the hand in marriage to the father?
Mhm.
I heard a young man talking about yesterday when I was looking for videos about who should eat first. He was like, "That's stupid. I'm not fucking the father. I'm fucking her." But did you see how close-minded and narrow-minded? And he seemed like a well-articulated, educated man, but because he never saw that and was never taught that, it's really about giving a blessing. You know, you want your
Right,
fathers,
and
you want
and
the
the
female's blessing.
you had to
Well,
get dad's permission because dad was the one paying for everything. He was the one
That
that
part.
was the dad, the woman's father is who paid for the wedding. So he had to give his okay.
yeah, but everything has changed because we really don't have a marriage culture. We have a dating culture.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right.
Everything
Right.
has
Exactly.
changed.
Netflix and chill.
Well, besides Netflix and chill, that's even a newer concept. It's just once dating started to be the point to where introduction was happening, and then you talk about the removal of, you know, fathers, you talk about the divorce rate rise, and you talk about all of these elements that have just kind of stacked on top of each other and created this problem we're having now. Well, people are adjusting, but they're adjusting through a multitude of things. And dating is just a culture. Like most people don't think marriage, they think dating. They go into marriage thinking dating. This is why they can talk about marriage, immediately talking about breaking up before they even actually get engaged. Because that's the dating mindset. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Most people want the wedding. Most
Yeah, exactly.
people want the title, but they don't want to fulfill the job of the title because marriage is hard work. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I've been there, done that, and it takes a lot of work every day, but it gets easier. The more you know your partner, the more you observe him, vice versa, the easier it should be.
Well,
I mean,
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead, Grace. Sorry.
no, I was done. Go ahead.
And I think that too, I mean, I hear people when they say, I didn't see that, I didn't see this, I didn't see this. Some of that I will argue to a point that that's not true. Because even if you didn't see it in your immediate household, which there is some validity to that. But I do remember this one TV show that was prominent in most people's household, and that was The Cosby Show. And The Cosby Show showed you a generic nuclear structure. Whether you were experiencing this or not, you got to see it. I mean, even in good times, you know, you've seen certain structures.
Good times, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would argue that that's cap. Some of this.
Alvin, roll over there, ask Cliff, Sandra hand. Go back and watch it.
But some of it, I think, just it goes to, you know, you hear people who weren't alive then. Talk to a lot of young ladies. I talk to a number of young ladies, and they'll always talk about, well, yeah, that worked then, but then the women weren't happy. Well, you know, I don't want to be like my mom. I don't want to be like my grandma. And some of that, you know, I think it's a combination of things. Relationships have to go back to just being built off respect, and then also being honest. If you don't want marriage, great, good. There's no obligation to get married, especially the way things are now. But if you want that, I would almost argue that you may want to borrow some of the things that did work back then, and then try to blend it with some level of modernization. You know, best case scenario.
Let me also chime in here. I think that with what I've seen in my experience with the women that I've spoken to, and have conversations with and stuff like that, it's the idea versus the reality, right? And they get those lines crossed all the time, right? So they have the idea of the man that they like or the man that they want and how he should be, and the idea of marriage. Well, there's that versus the reality, right? So the idea of the guy could be the real super hot guy that they like and what have you, and get him, but the reality is he's a total asshole, right? Right? So from what I've seen, and time again, a lot of women, they get those lines crossed, and then they don't even want to admit that. right? So because
Accountability.
men don't date like that. Right? We don't date like that. Right? So, I think that if it comes back to the honest conversations, hey, what do you like? What do you want? Where you see this going? Don't tell me what I want to hear. Like, if we're supposed to be building something or getting to know, and look, I'm not saying that the first couple of days or the first couple of weeks you tell me your whole life story. I'm not saying that. But if we feel a connection and we continue talking and we looking to develop something, then I need you to be honest and upfront with me, just like I'm going to be honest and upfront with you. But that doesn't happen now, right? They tell you what each other want to hear, and mixed in with that is the idea versus the reality.
Absolutely. I agree.
Let me ask you a question, guys, because this is what I'm running into when I'm dating. I'm running into the old-fashioned bait and switch. Their representative is awesome. The first 30, 60 days. And then come that third month, when you're hitting the probationary period, it's like it's totally different now. You're a totally different person. And I have no problems falling back because I'm older now and I'm more mature and I see the red flags now and I don't ignore them. And that's what we need to do more. We need to vet more. We need to ask the hard questions. We need to peel the onions and get to know a person and spend time with them. It doesn't always have to be extravagant dates. Just going out for ice cream and talking.
Well, conversation tells you a lot, right?
Again, communication.
Conversation tells you a lot. One of my old mentors said, if you let someone talk long enough, they'll tell on themselves if you listen. So when people say they didn't see the red flags, or when some women so when women say they don't see the red flags, the dude probably told you what he was, but you didn't listen.
You're not hearing him.
Well,
you're not hearing him.
Yeah, I'll ask you, Grace, what is the intention behind the dating? Because I think that to understand what you should be looking for, you got to know what you're headed towards. Are you dating casually? Are you dating with
No, not anymore. I'm dating with intentions and with a purpose. I've had my fun. I've been single for 5.5 years. I've had my fun, did my thing, but I realized, wow, my son is about to leave house soon. I'm about to be solo. I want to build, I still got a lot of, even though Kevin Samuels feels that I'm a grandma and I'm old and I should be sitting at home twiddling my thumbs, but I still got a lot of life in me. I can get a little bit raunchier with it, but I'm not going to, if you can understand what I'm trying to say. I still got a lot more to give, and I'm dating with intention. So if I let somebody know right away, look, I'm looking for a serious long-term relationship. I'm not looking for friends with benefits. I'm not looking for a sneaky link. I'm not looking for none of that. Well, go ahead. No, go ahead. You asked me the question.
I was gonna say that I would tell you that if you're having that conversation, unless that's being asked of you, then it's already imbalance. Because see, the type of men that you should be interacting with should be asking you those questions. And then if you're responding that way, sure. But most men with intent are going to tell you what they're about. They can't bait and switch you if they're also involving you in most of their life from spending time with you. What I have found is that a man that got intentions is going to put you in several environments to not only see what you bring to the table, but he's also going to be showcasing who he is. And it's very hard to do that if you're only staying inside. It's very hard to do that if there's not a multitude of distractions going on in public through, social circles. I've also found that, and this is everybody's different variables of faith, but if you want to know if a man is serious, invite him to church. And if he's willing to go, usually you'll find out a lot about that. But most women, they don't put the man in enough environments to really see the gambit of what he has to offer. So they get kind of twisted because they do it one-on-one. And I think that it should be a combination of things. If we're talking about intentional dating, he should be involved in some of you and your friends hanging out, vice versa, so on and so forth. Because you'll get a lot by just observing and watching the person.
Absolutely. And how he interacts with family members and friends.
also too, what I was saying earlier, I think that what I've found with some of the women that I've dealt is conversation, right? I love having conversation because that tells me a lot, right? You know, what they like to talk about, what comes out their mouth, what they say, what they don't say. You know, I listen, I pay attention. What I hear where their passions lie, right? You know, so that tells me a lot, right? And you know, you take mental notes, right? And look, and I would say this: if the conversation flows like it's like you've known each other for a long time, I think that's awesome, right? Where you start talking and then I don't know, 4 or 5 hours later, y'all still on the phone, and I think that's great, right? But still, even in the great conversations, you take mental notes, right? And you hear where the person's at, what they want to do, what they're into. And I think that's very important. And to me, I've always been one that always listened. I like the conversations because I want clarity. I want understanding.
You don't want confusion later.
Right. I don't want no confusion. Unfortunately, you get some of these, you know, you get a good deal of these women nowadays. They talk about communication, but then when they meet a guy that actually does it, they fail. They fail.
Well, what they mean,
no,
what they mean by communication is they think because they use excessive words, they're better communicators, but they're not actually saying nothing.
They're not like, listen, I just went through that shit. I gave someone 10 months, right? And they failed. And I said, you know, because to me, if I've said to you that if I've lied to you, then tell me, right? But if I've said to you, I'm gonna let's take this step by step, and we'll discuss things, you know, along the way, you know. So when it finally hit, I was like, well, okay, in the last 10 months, you tell me where I lied to you. What did I say and what did you do?
And could she bring up an example?
No, they couldn't. Well,
no, because she wasn't listening to him. She was hearing what she wanted to hear.
Exactly. Exactly. She wanted to hear what she wanted to hear, but also, well, I dealt with this before. Hey, that's not me. What did I tell you? What did you do?
And you be like, I didn't say that. She'd be like, no, yeah, you did. I'd be like, look, I didn't say nothing close to that.
There's a myth that there's this myth about men that men don't remember things. I got a memory like a camera, right? So I will ask you, how do you feel about this? And you say, well, Gary, yes, I like this. I said, are you sure? Right? So don't tell me something don't tell me, if I ask you that you're sure about something and you're not really sure, but you're telling me just to tell me, don't tell me that. Because if we're having real conversations, right? Because if we're having real conversations, you need to be real with me. I need to be real with you. So I'm just saying, in my situation and in this recent experience that I had, it was all about, you know, the communicate. I laid it out there, and she failed, and she swore up and down she wanted communication.
Let me ask you something, Gary. Did you end up ending it?
Oh yeah.
What was the deal breaker? See, this is the questions that I ask men.
The deal breaker was
bad communication.
The deal breaker was I've explained to you what, you know, because she was a constant overthinker, right? And in the beginning, she told me that, right? I said, okay, I'm willing to work with you on that, right? So whatever I can do to ease your negative overthinking, I will do that. I have no problem. And I did that. So it happened once, all right, twice, you know, I let it pass 3 times. You know, she apologized, and I'm like, wait a minute.
It's intentional.
Right, exactly. So I'm like, did I not explain to you what I was doing? Did I not show you? I said, what did you tell me? So now you're going to come back with, it got to a point where it's like, look, here it is 10 months later, right? And this shit is still happening. And then now you got the nerve to tell me, well, this is just I know I'm a overthinker. This is something, and I'm real sorry, but this is something that you're just gonna have to deal with. I said, no, I'm not. I said, you take that to somebody else. I said it just like that. I said, no, I'm not. You take that to somebody, because I was patient enough to work with you on it, and you still fucked it up. But
I hear you. Okay, Gary, hold on a second. I got Miss Valerie on the panel. This is wow. This is elementary school in Strong Island, Long Island. How you doing, baby girl? And she got my favorite color on. How you doing?
It took me a minute to figure out how to do this. I've never done this. I couldn't figure out how to get on.
That's okay. So how you doing, my dear?
I am good. I'm trying to catch up on the conversations. The time difference messed me up. That's why I'm late.
Now, the topic is about, Miss Valerie, is who do you feed first? The husband or the kids?
The kids. But I would say, because I was married for 15 years, I'm not married anymore, but when I was married, my husband we always put our kids first. And he would never, he just wasn't the kind of man that was like, oh, I need to be fed first. No, he was like, feed my kids first.
That's okay too, because it was communicated. You know, every couple, I feel.
I said earlier, I said communication earlier.
I want to use the word I feel. I think that nowadays marriages and relationships should be customized to the couple.
Oh yeah.
You know how a man goes and gets a custom suit and it just fits him in every spot well, instead of just a store-bought suit. I think that relationships should customize the couple. And once we do that, I think we'll have a higher success rate and things. If your husband agreed, look, babe, feed the kids first, I'm good, let them get out the way, let them eat, they'll be quiet, then that's okay. But it's also okay, Valerie, to once in a while, just out of appreciation and admiration, to give him his plate first.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I've done both ways, but I mean, if it had to be a set thing, he would always want the kids taken care of first. And I totally respect that, because I'd be the same way. My kids got to eat first before me. If we were short on food, definitely, obviously, you're going to feed your kid first. That's how we are as parents. But that's part of the reason you get to know somebody.
Valerie, you're Italian. There is no shortage of food in your house.
It's not. I had to learn to stop.
We look like there's an army coming over. And another thing that I wanted to put out there is, we all learn from each other. People think because you're older that we know more. Right? Trey just gave me a suggestion. He just taught me something. That doesn't mean because I'm whatever 10, 15 years his senior that I can't learn from him. And that's another thing that we need to learn, that we can learn from him. I learned from my 16-year-old son. Sometimes he has more voice of reason and common sense that I do. And he'll be like, what? A quick story. I got pulled over one time, and I guess I was getting antsy with the police officer, and the police officer went, knock it down. So now my son does that to me. When I'm getting a little bit rowdy, he'll be like, Mom, knock it down a few notches.
Take it down.
I don't get upset. I actually pull back, because if a 16-year-old can recognize that I'm getting amped up,
right,
and I respect him as my son, because I've always taught him to express himself respectfully. I tell him, remember who the hell you're talking to.
Yes.
But say what you feel respectfully. And there was even a time when we were getting into it, and he said, Mom, I think we need to take a 24-hour cooling period and come back to this tomorrow.
Ooh, I love it.
And I looked at him and I said, yes, sir, I'm going to my room. And he went into his room and we cooled off and we came back and intervened the next day. Just because he's 16 years old, that doesn't mean that I can't learn from him. And you know what? He learned that from me.
Right.
I don't want to demasculate my son. I know what women can do to their sons. And thank God that I had such a strong Sicilian dad that taught me, because every lesson he taught my brother, I always made sure that I learned too, because I knew I would always have a son. And now I'm teaching my dad may not be around, but my son is sure learning from his grandfather through me.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So all I'm trying to say, ladies out here, is that we just need to do better, appreciate our men more, you know, show them a little bit more appreciation, because they work hard. They do a lot for us. And we tend to give so little sometimes. You know, Valentine's Day is coming up. Yeah, men don't want flowers and candy, but if your man is an Eagles fan and he loves football, have a huge football party, Super Bowl party for him. Let him have his day.
No. Wait a minute. Where is it written that men don't want flowers and candy? I want some candy delivered.
See? And I'm a woman that gives.
You want edible arrangements?
Yeah, hell yeah. I want all that. What you mean?
Israel, because I like flowers and candy, but if you give me some Super Bowl tickets, I'm good with that. You know, I'm a sports chick. But the thing is that we just got to do better. Men are tired of underwear, socks, and ties. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. We definitely tired of that stuff. We tired of them the tie and shirts you get from Walmart, the purple, green, blue, and red one. We tired of that. We got all of them. That's why the fellas laughing. They got them shits too.
All we gotta do is we gotta embrace our men. And we got to do better. You know, we expect a Birkin bag. We expect this. We expect that. We want this. We want this. But we can't even get him Versace cologne. You know, stop buying the Walmart brand cologne and get him the good stuff. Get him what he likes. You know, my son asked me, well, Mom, how do you know what to get a girl? I said, well, you see what she's low on. Look at her perfume collection. Because usually what she's low on is her favorite. Go get her that if you don't know her.
It's been popular today's world. We've been asking, what do you bring to the table? But that's a triggering statement. So I've rewritten that statement. And I said last year on my channel, I said, ask a woman, what is she willing and eager to do for the man she wants? And shut up.
Yeah, that's fair.
Ask it that way.
That's fair. And I think to double down on what you're saying, V, I truly believe that a lot of men, overwhelmingly, do not even know what is permissible to ask from a woman. Just in the conversations I've had, just in the observation, so many men are terrified to truly
unapologetic. Huh? They're scared. You're absolutely right. I'm with you.
Yeah, and I think
that they'd rather. Go ahead, Sue. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Grace.
They just rather not cause confusion. That's why men have just stopped talking, because they just
no. There's a small group of men that you're right on point with, Grace. But we're talking about these majority of these dudes. They're flat out scared.
Exactly. They're scared. That's right.
They're just scared to talk to women. Yes, they're scared.
Oh yeah,
because they don't have any history talking with women. These aren't your select guys. These are your non-select guys, which is the majority. And they didn't have girlfriends in high school and junior high school. So they're just now getting into girls in their late 20s and 30s. And they're coming off awkward. And they're socially awkward. So now what's happening is they're over here in the manosphere and they're hearing a lot of verbiage and they're thinking, oh, women don't want me and I'm gonna go find a woman over there in Thailand. You're still awkward, dude. It doesn't matter where you go. It's you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Don't do it, B. Don't do it. I was just having this conversation last night. But I agree. I agree with the awkwardness. I agree that the fact that men do need to kind of be pushed to develop. What I won't do, and not to completely derail the conversation, is I won't try to say that the experience overseas is not vastly different than it is in America. And I think that what a lot of people are not understanding, I'm 22 countries down, and I've lived abroad for years. I started traveling at 13. Some of my confidence and some of my range of understanding how to even deal with women, to even set the standard of treatment, came from being overseas. Because when I was here, I knew something was wrong. I just couldn't quite figure out how to interpret it. Yeah.
See, what I'm running into guys, they're 30 years old, they've never been cross town. And all of a sudden, they want to go cross the ocean. You know, you got to build yourself up to get to that point. Because like I started traveling at an early age too, I think I was around 13 in middle school or whatever when I went to Canada the first time. That was the first country I went to. And you do get a confidence from that. But these guys in today's world, they took competition out of our culture. So they've never had to compete for anything. Everybody's been given a participation trophy, and they're expecting a certain result automatically. And when they don't get it, they want to blame the woman. And that's not, that's not what the issue is. The woman didn't do this to you, dude. You're doing it to yourself. Get off your PlayStation and interact and compete.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I tell a lot of times I don't hold women completely and utterly accountable for every aspect, because what I believe I know is that a woman's reaction is usually a telltale sign of a lack of a man's leadership. So this really just a byproduct of what men are not doing. But to continue on that point, I think whether it's overseas, whether it's across town, whether it's across state lines, I encourage men, period, to just journey outside of their comfort zone, because in order to be able to even, if you want to say, spit game at women, I believe you have to kind of align yourself with an arsenal, because each approach to a woman is going to be different, and if you're dealing with multiple demographics, it's going to be different. If you're dealing with age, it's going to be different. It's going to be a certain thing that I encourage it. So sometimes going across seas may be what that particular man needs, because just getting the response, getting the attention, having the conversations, whether it's in Brazil, Colombia, New York, whatever, you got to change up your environment, because sometimes you can become very desensitized to what is your immediate surrounding. And like you said, a lot of men don't even journey across town, which is sad, but I know people who
they've never been to another state, man. It's like, it's crazy. Last year I was talking to a kid, and he was up in, I believe, Boston, and he was talking about, well, I'm gonna go down south and find me a traditional wife. I said, dude, have you ever been down south? Like, do you know what you're about to get into? Women in South Carolina are some of the fastest women I've ever met. Those women are gonna chew you up. What are you talking about? Like, you got this.
Go ahead. Another thing that I think we need to teach each other is rejection. A lot of people don't know how to deal with rejection.
Well, that goes with the competition. Really, so men used to set themselves up in a hierarchy, and it starts early on. We're always competing to see who's the better, who's the fastest, who can throw the ball the best, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what happens to the guy who wasn't the best? He got better over time. If he wanted to compete. Think about this. We wouldn't have a Michael Jordan. We wouldn't have Michael Jordan if we didn't have competition. Michael Jordan got cut from his first team. Then he went back and got better.
Matter of fact, his high school coach said he wouldn't be anybody.
Now, I will say, and try to take this into consideration. Like you said, the competition. This is where I have to hold the women accountable, because there was a vast difference when I remember being younger. I knew you had to be fly. You had to have game. You had to have frame. You had to have swag, because if you wanted a girl, all those things had to align.
And if you wanted
that's
that
the only
girl,
way. Yeah, that's the only way you was getting that girl. That has changed.
And you had to have a job.
And you needed a job. That is not the case anymore, bro. These women will give any dude that looks halfway attractive, halfway looking decent, and he can get the same type of sexual attention. He can get the same type of, opportunity. So they lowered the bar. Like, you're asking men to compete, but then it's like, I'm smarter than this dude. I have my own spot. I've accomplished things. This dude has EBT and he's taking you out to Chick-fil-A, and you cool with that.
And he's driving another chick car.
See, okay, let me.
They lowered the bar. That's what's happening. But anyway,
let me also chime in here for a bit here. I think that right. So for those Black men who have traveled overseas, we see that the reception we have is completely different. And I think that a lot of us have gotten some great appreciation from the women that we've met overseas. If we've gone to Australia, Asia, Germany, what have you, they're happy and grateful to have a man like us.
How old are you?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I just turned 53.
And how's the other brother?
I'm
Gary.
37. I'm 37.
Okay. So what age should men be doing this and shouldn't be doing this?
Shouldn't be. Well, I mean, I started traveling when I was in my teens, so I've been to quite a few
in today's
countries.
Today's world, like.
Oh, wow. I mean,
I would say between 18 and 24, 25. I think that.
So you think an 18-year-old in today's world is ready to go overseas?
Absolutely.
How?
Absolutely.
How mathematically is that possible?
Well, it's not really expensive to travel even somewhere like Canada. It's not expensive to travel to certain parts of South America.
How mathematically is it possible when the average Black man only makes $42,000 a year?
Yeah, no, I get you. Well,
so we're talking about men who are way below average.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a guy your age or a guy you got in our age group. No problem. We're established, and you may be a early starter who jumped out the gate at night. I bought my first house at 19, so I'm with that. But that's not the norm today. So
economics play a part.
I'm kind of the Kevin Samuels philosophy that these young men should be building themselves up first.
Absolutely. But to keep it just on topic, if we're talking about travel, I think that just like you're saying, it's an economic play, but then I will push back because you got a lot of men who are between 18, 21, 22 and can figure out how to get money for PlayStations, iPhones, Jordans, bottle service at the club. This stuff is collaboratively cheap if you really want to do it. If you really want to do it, get 3 to 5 of your brothers, make a plan, save for 6 months, get your passports, and pick a destination if you're really trying to do it. Because it can be done. I've seen it before. Yeah, I've seen it done. So it's not that.
I was talking to Wally last night. Me and Wally was talking for a while in the back chat. And I gave him some advice. And the advice I gave him, I'd like to see young men during that 21 to 31 period, or between 25 and 35, let's say. I'd like to see them build themselves up and get a house, get a piece of land first before they even start seriously trying to entertain women, so that way they can maintain leverage. Because what men are doing is they have no leverage. And that's why they're getting their butts kicked in relationships. They have nothing really of tangible to offer. Get you a house, get you a piece of land, and build yourself up.
And I think that that's amazing advice. I think that we do
I'm
sometimes
with you,
need to.
Israel.
Huh? I'm sorry.
No, Grace was saying something.
No, I was saying I agree with Israel because I learned this from Kevin Samuels that a man from the age of 18 to 30 should be working on his purpose. Should be
Absolutely.
laying the foundation for his life. And I told my son this. Yeah, you can have relationship and stuff, but don't get too serious because you're not going to be able to be a husband and a father if you can't take care of yourself first. You don't want to
Absolutely.
get into a situation struggling. And don't call me because I'm going to be out in Jamaica chilling, living my best life. You know, 'cause
Dude,
I
these
told
young
him,
men are
give me
spending
10
so much time not doing anything.
Yeah.
And,
frivolous
and it
shit.
scares me. And, my
Yep.
oldest son is 22. He's about to be 23. And I just remember where I was at that age. Again, I was a homeowner at 19. I was focused on careers and things like, dude, you're way behind the 8 ball. I need you to get in gear
But
because the
it's a
example is
generation,
there for
Israel.
you. Yeah. And all of his friends, they just hang out on PlayStation and do. I'm like, dude, I had a PlayStation. Like, don't act like dad is so old. I don't know what a friggin' PlayStation is. I had a
But you still
I was
suffer
in
in
PlayStation.
the
your
closet, but I get you,
I
bro.
had Atari. I had ColecoVision. I had them
We had
all.
Sega,
Sega
Valerie.
Genesis,
God, I had them
Nintendo
all.
64. I had them all. But
I had
guess
them
what?
all.
We didn't sit them on.
Mario.
We didn't sit on them for 12 hours a day.
Right. That's
And
the difference right there. And I got to say, I got to jump in on a few things here. I want to touch the video games in my house. My oldest son, he'll be 25. I never let him have video games when he was a teenager. I refused because I had my nephew visit from New York, and all that kid did was the whole summer. I got an in-ground pool. The kid's on the video game. It's like they become brain dead, become desensitized. I don't go for it. I didn't let my son have video games. Somebody in my family bought him one for Christmas. I gave it back. Don't give my kid video games. I didn't allow it. My son is now 24. He's like ridiculously intelligent, classical music, books, reading, all kinds of shit and knowledge. I couldn't have even imagined how intelligent he became just because he was into reading and he just learned things and taught himself things, and I think if I would have had him on video games, I look at some of my other nephews, they got nothing going for themselves. Some of them are fathers at 19. They just never did nothing right.
Yeah.
All poor choices right down the drain. And the other thing with the video games, and this is going to go back on men being able to conversate. Now, 2 different points I'm going to bring up. The age group, older men. So I'm going to be 50. I date obviously older men. The older men were always taught back in the day, men were supposed to know everything. They were supposed to be the strong ones. They were supposed to have all the answers. That was the upbringing I had. I had a strict Italian family. All the men worked and took care of everything financially, and they had all the answers. The women took care of the kids. That's really how I grew up. Now you turn around to these young men. They are socially awkward, don't know how to start a conversation, don't have a plan. A lot of them don't because, number one, nobody's teaching them anything. Unfortunately, nobody talks to their kids. Nobody bothers. They just think, oh, they're going to learn it on the internet or they're going to learn it there. That's a big problem. And I'm a school teacher. So I've been through all the grades with the kids and heard different problems from students and things. I've learned a lot from different households, how everybody's got something different going on, a different upbringing. But a big part of it is lack of conversation from the parents at home, not being honest, not paying attention to their kids. And these boys go out into this world socially awkward. They don't know what they're supposed to do when it comes to dating the correct way or doing things or meeting people, getting a relationship, having goals. I can't tell you how many kids get none of that. Absolutely none of that. There's no.
But Valerie, do you know why we're having this problem? It's because women are refusing to be wives and they rather be baby mamas. So we don't have the man in the house like you had and I had and Strong Island where we all got together and had family dinners, and then I got Quentin here that made a very good point because I didn't allow my son to play video games Monday through Thursday. He was allowed to play Friday after school and then Sunday at 7 p.m. it had to be turned in. And he said video games aren't the issue. Parents not setting ground rules on these things like anything else is the problem. And
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, my sister-in-law, she'd let my nephew at 10 years old, the kid's up till fucking 2 o'clock in the morning. 10, 11 years old. I could never imagine. My son is 9, going to be 10, my youngest. He's in bed at 8:30. I don't allow that kind of stuff. And that's it. Garbage in, garbage out. How they are as parents is the first step. And if the kid outsmarts the parents, which I've met kids like that I've met the parents and you know the kid and you're like, oh boy, this kid's got more brains than the parents. I mean,
Exactly.
oh my God, you're lucky when you meet a kid that is fortunate enough that his parents didn't rub off on him. You got those kids too. And that they were able to think for themselves and pull themselves out. And that's got to be the biggest thing. It's up to each person taking responsibility for themselves and your decisions you make in life. You could either choose to be a fucking dummy and sit on a video game all day, or you could say, you know what? I want something out of my life. And that is the mojo these kids don't get is like I think it was, I don't know who, I cannot read the names on the right. I'm so sorry. I can't see. But like you were saying about having a house at 19 and having ambition, these kids, they don't have that. Nobody's showing them that, you know? And it's sad. And yeah, I get the whole thing with, you know, single parents versus couples.
You got babies having babies. They don't even know what the hell's going
you know
on.
what? There are plenty of single moms, myself included, because I was a single mom for a long time. And it's what you put in. It's an excuse. Don't say because I came from a single home. No. What did the mom do? What did the mom not do? What did the dad do? Whoever they lived with in that single home. That is part of the problem, but you can pull yourself out of it. And these kids just don't have the ambition, and nobody talks to them and tells them, you know, do you want to have a house? Do you want to have a car? Some kids really don't want that and don't even have the idea in their head that they need it. I can't
Well, they
tell
were
you.
told somebody's going to come give it to me later.
Yes.
Somebody else is going to step in and fix this for me at some point.
Yeah, and that's what they think.
But-
You are absolutely right. Kids have no set goal. They're not even worried about not having a home or have. Are you kidding? My two youngest, Frankie is going to be 10. Abby just turned 11. My two youngest, and I tell you this, I will have that conversation with them at least once a week. This is what I say to them. You need to learn this because I'm not going to be here forever. Anything can happen to mom. I won't be able to teach you. I need you to learn this. I tell my kids that rough, and they get nervous and they think, oh, mom won't be here. And it scares them enough that they make themselves learn shit. My daughter knows how to sew. They know how to do, they know how to cook. It's what you put in. You got to teach them things, you know, and
so
nobody
right.
wants to-
I
We
know
have
when
to
kids
teach
would
our
come over to my
children.
house,
Go ahead.
and it kind of piggyback off of what she said. Nobody was talking to these kids, and I always did family meetings in my house, so their friends would be a part of it. Like, and their friends were always like amazed, like, your dad talks to y'all, you know, like your dad allows y'all to voice your opinion, you know, like the friends were like just astonished, like this is happening, like, you know. And they, you know, they wanted to be a part of it. They had so much to say. Like you said, sometimes the damn kid was smarter than the parents. Because I meet the parents and I go, no wonder the kid is screwed up. But the kid got something to work with.
Right.
If the doggone some of these
Absolutely.
parents would step out of their way.
Yes.
And look
you're
what
right.
Quentin
Friends
said.
here,
He's
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay, hon. He says, kids only learn from what is put in front of them. We as parents and adults can take responsibility, interest into these young people in our neighborhoods, and that is key. We don't talk to our neighborhood. Valerie, don't you remember when we grew up? If I was at your house and I was acting up, I'd get an ass whooping, and then I go home and get another ass whooping because we had it takes a village.
We had the grapevines.
Everybody took care of each other. I ate at Valerie's house. She ate at my house, and we all hung out. And my dad used to say, if I have to go up them stairs, everybody's gonna get it.
Everybody's
getting
getting
Dad, you can't whoop somebody else's kid. He's like, if they're in my
Yes,
house,
I can.
in my food,
Yes, I
they're
can.
my responsibility.
Oh
And
God, and
parents
don't
can get
get me started.
mad,
That's
but
the
nowadays, God forbid.
The school's hands are tied, the police hands are tied, the school district, the counselors, everybody's freaking hands are tied. Everybody's hands are tied across the board. Oh no, you can't talk to them like this. You can't talk to them like that. Look at these kids. They're nightmares. They don't know how to take on any challenges because everybody wants to fucking bubble wrap them. What do you think's going to happen when that bubble
trophy?
Also, too, what needs to happen is that we need to deprogram these kids from this instant gratification culture. Nobody wants to work for nothing.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
because they know somebody's gonna come give it to them later.
Yep. That is their way.
The
that
only
they,
thing that's guaranteed is the opportunity, but society has been preaching, no, the result is guaranteed too. No, it's not. You're not getting a participation trophy for life.
That's right.
Everybody, we got the same opportunity. What you do with that opportunity is going to affect your result.
Yep.
We just need to be direct and tell people when they're losers. Like,
and you're absolutely right.
Yeah, you're effing up. I told my son that this summer. You're effing up, dude.
Just be honest, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, here's how you fix it. You know, hey, I still love you, still my son, but look, you're effing up right now. Here's what you gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your instructions.
Yep.
And he, you know, my son came to me and said, you know, Dad, you're right.
That's another thought I wanted to say. Israel, we have to teach our children to learn how to live without us.
Yeah.
If I told my son that if I was to die tomorrow, will you know how to survive?
Right.
We are responsible to give them the map of life, but we can't live the life for them. And Quentin said here, we have gotten away from the very things that made our families and communities strong. And I agree with you, Quentin, and that's why I'm having these conversations simply by who do you feed first, the husband or the kids? Damn it, man. You show appreciation and love and admiration and respect by giving that man the big piece of chicken first. He worked for it. Show him you appreciate it. So now your kids can see, man, daddy gets to eat first. Why does daddy get to eat first? Because he's the man of the house. He pays the bills. He takes care of us. I'll be Valerie, did your mom ever feed you guys first before she fed dad?
No. No,
I didn't. That's not just Hispanics. That's embedded in Italians too.
My dad was always fed first. And in my house, I've probably done a little of both, but most of the time my husband would say, go ahead and take care of the kids first. Because it's so many plates. We had 4 kids. I'm making all these plates. And then I would do mine and his so we could sit down and enjoy each other. And hopefully the kids will be done and gone and get a little quiet at the table, you know. But that's how it worked in our house, our family function. It worked good. But it wasn't a matter of, for me personally and him personally, it wasn't a matter of that. It was about honoring him or giving him more respect or, you know, an award for doing this or doing that. It wasn't like that for us. It was, we didn't think that way about each other because honestly, I'm the one that supported my family. I was the actual breadwinner. And so it was a little different for us. And, but he would always be like, you know, serve the kids first so me and you can sit down because we like that time alone. Get rid of the kids at the table, make sure they're eating and doing what they're doing. And then we'd have our alone time at the end of the dinner. And then the kids will come back and clean up the table. So that's just what worked in our household. But I think it's up to each couple how they see it. But I got to say this on a whole other level. I will tell you, I freaking hate and despise several things. One, these girls that date guys out of jail and treat these guys like they're better than their children and give these guys everything over their children, because I've seen women do that. I hate that. Treating the guy like he is the complete king and treating your kids like garbage. No, he could still be the king, but it doesn't mean you treat your kids like garbage. And I've seen that.
The jail thing comes from, and I did a video on this topic last year too, survival instinct, okay? Or when somebody is in survival mode, men in survival, or anybody in survival mode is gonna tell you anything.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna make all kind of promises. And I tell women particularly, be careful when you're dealing with a dude in survival mode. Yes. You can't trust what he's saying.
No.
Especially a dude fresh out of jail. Or in jail. He's going to tell you whatever he got to tell you to get over on you. Ismail, you might as well just throw that right on out the doggone window. But time and time again, I've seen women fall for it. Oh, he said he was
Every
going to
time.
marry me.
Every time.
He said come on, how many times have we heard this shit? Like,
Bro,
when are you going to learn?
Oh God, we have to have a whole other conversation about this because man, I could tell you some things that just fucking piss me off.
Well, lady, I think you lied to us talking about this your first time on StreamYard. You doing very well.
I've never gotten. Listen, I didn't even know how to do it. I was messaging Grace. I'm like, I don't know how to do this.
She was texting me.
She came on here like a pro.
This is awesome. This is awesome, and this is what I love.
She came on here like a champ.
The exchange of energy, the exchange of
I heard
ideas
Shalakimia was in your chat earlier.
Yes, she was. And
that's my girl, man.
I'm on these youths. I'm on these
I said, look at Grace. Go ahead and down here spreading out. Shalakimia is my girl, man. Love her to death, man. I mean, I've been rocking for about 4 years.
I didn't know True from a can of paint, and I reached out to him and I said, look, he's either gonna hit me back or he ain't, and he did. And that's how I meet people, and that's how I meet people, and that's how I go about things. But you guys, we got 5 more minutes. We've been running for two and a half hours, and I love it because that means the conversation is good. But what I do want to say is next week is going to get juicy too. Valerie, who sits in the front, the mother or the wife? That's gonna be the next conversation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna go around the room. You guys are gonna say your final thoughts, anything you have to say, because I can't go 3-4 hours. Most people are not gonna watch a lot of, like when I premiere it tomorrow, they're not gonna watch a 3-4 hour podcast. They're just not. I have to be reasonable. So Gary, my returner. Okay, right. My A1. Go ahead and close on your closing thoughts. And again, after you're done with that, let people know again where we can find you.
I just want to thank you, Grace, for having me on here. You're having some real great conversations and discussions. You know, the real conversations and discussions. I think that, you know, in this day and age and the time that we're living in, I think that situations need to be tailored to the particular family, right? I think it's not one size fits all. So I think each family or each couple, they need to tailor situations that work in their household. And if that works for them, then that's great. You could catch me on my podcast. Well, I'm president of Boardwalk Global Media. I have about 7 podcasts that go on every week, but I'm actually on 2. One is called the Control Room, which comes on every Thursday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then the other one is called The Real Discussion, which is Fridays from 8 to 10 p.m. And we stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And we have a couple of other major distribution platforms that's coming in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned. And Grace always checks in. So thank you so much. And thank you for everything.
You check in.
Hey, you got my support. As long as I'm home before 8:30, then you got my support.
I hear you. True, give me just a minute because we got Quentin on the panel now. I guess he got tired of typing and he wanted to say his thing. So thank you for coming. This is your first time on the panel. I'm honored to have you. Thank you. Say what would you like to say and speak on the topic tonight?
All right, so I'm gonna make this fast. Everybody can hear me okay? Because it's like I'm testing out these new microphones and these new buds. But you know, I want to just say, of course, mucho gracias to Grace for allowing me to come in. And you guys are awesome and beautiful people here. So I'm gonna be real quick, jumping in these last few minutes. You know, the conversation was really great. You know, a couple of things like I was saying. First of all, I'll just say, like Drake said, you know, trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers. So I had to kind of reverse it a little bit. you know, the main thing is really when we look at our society today, you know, when people stopped uh, going to God's word and started questioning everything and really questioning everything in the Bible and started listening to Dr. Spock writing books saying, don't beat your kids and don't do this. Everything started going in a direction that went away from the very simple instructions that were already handed to us through the word that said
Spare the rod, spoil
automatically,
the
you know,
child.
spare the rod, spoil the child. But most importantly, discipline is something that God does to those whom he loves. And where we lost out is that we lost the whole meaning of discipline. People started saying discipline was beating a child. It's not, it's teaching. Discipline is teaching. The parents today, for the most part, I can't believe it how I see a lot of this stuff reflected on these TV shows, how kids are telling their parents, cursing at their parents. And this is what's being reflected in our TV shows and the music. We're letting kids listen to all kinds of music that they shouldn't listen to. They're getting all kinds of ideas, but the parents have lost the art of discipline, which is teaching. And as the Bible said, teaching, reproving, for setting things straight. This is what we were supposed to be at, but we've gotten away from that. We're listening to man. We're listening to other men, other people tell us what we should not do with our kids. Oh, you can't do this. You can't do that. Now we have a whole society of can't do this, can't do that. You can't even live in the state of Florida no more because you got a governor down there telling everybody what they can't learn, what you can't talk about, what you can't see. And yet we're supposed to be a free people in a democracy. But yet we have lost the ability to think for ourselves. We're letting kids decide when they want to do, what they want to do, what they want to eat. I want to play video games all night. We don't take the time. And even sometimes we are afraid on the outside to sit and talk to these kids. Why? Because we're afraid of cops being called, because these parents, they let their kids do whatever. But the minute you try to help them or even discipline them by teaching them something, now it's a problem. You messing with my child. And now, you know, we've gotten into this whole area all because we got away from the original word itself. So because of that, we want to decide for ourselves what is right, what is wrong. It's created a whole mess. But that doesn't mean that we can't still affect some of these young minds moving forward by just maybe pulling a couple of them to the side and just having a conversation in the process. But back to that initial question, who eats first? You know, it may be the husband or the man in the house that might eat first, but at the same time, it's a balance. That's the B word that doesn't get discussed or put into a conversation. It's a balance, because sometimes the need of a child must take place first. You know, and it is, and as husband and wife, or if you're in a relationship, you have to learn how to balance those things out, because it is your responsibility to look out for your mate. But if there are children involved, well, guess what? We look out for them together. It becomes a balancing act, and it can be difficult. It can be tricky, but it has to be a balance in that. Just like as we learn in the scriptures, just like in the scriptures, there's a balance of that triangle where it's God, Christ, and the family. So you have to balance that out. You know, you can't, just like we can't go to God and ask for forgiveness of sins if we don't want to forgive the sins of those who do things that hurt us.
That's just
so
it,
it's a balance.
We've taken God out of everything. We don't have God in schools anymore. We can't pray before practice. We can't do nothing. The only time you see God is on a dollar bill. In God we trust.
And it's being used in ways that it shouldn't be used, because we know about those false prophets. We know about those who come in the wolf in sheep's clothing, that will come and use the word of God when it benefits them. As so Jesus turned over those tables in the temple for those who were utilizing that place to sell and to make money and to get rich, as we see as so many pastors do today. They use the word of God to get those coffers filled. And it is a disgusting thing to see that. And I'm not trying to take away from anything that they're doing that does help. But at the same time, there's something wrong if you're driving a Mercedes and a Range Rover and the flock is still struggling. There is something wrong with that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, Quentin, thank you so much. Hey, you came late to the party, but you added some substance to it, and I appreciate it. I hope you subbed up, like, and share, because this happens every Monday night. I mean, I'm grinding a little bit more. I know people are noticing me more. I go YouTube surfing, so it's just ride this soul plane with me. You know, I'm building it as I'm flying it, but pretty soon it's gonna be a nice jet. You know what I'm saying? So
with the gold rims.
Grace,
what was that, honey?
What time are you coming on every Monday night?
every Monday night at 8:30. And I'm the type, I don't know, a lot of people say I shouldn't do this, but I don't listen to a lot of people. I introduce my show a couple days before the show. So like
Yeah.
Saturday, I set a reel out and I send it out to Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat, Facebook. You know, you're going to see, I'm going to scroll and you
do the right
somehow.
thing. No, whoever's telling you that's wrong, you do the right thing, because I've been doing this podcast stuff for 4 years, right? We've built a podcast network from 1 show to 7 shows. So you're doing it right.
Exactly. And I just noticed that I've gotten 9 new subscribers since tonight just started. So
Excellent.
I gotta be doing something right. So
I'm gonna
we're
make
go
sure I share it. But tell me something, okay? And here's my dummy question. This is the first time. This is a podcast. How do I get on his podcast, The Control Room? Where do I go? How do I do it? I'm learning. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'll send you the link. So there's the link that I put in the chat for the real discussion, but I will also put the link for the control room in the chat also. All you gotta do is go on either the YouTube page, click on the YouTube page, or click on the Facebook page, and just
What do I look up on the Facebook? Because I know how to do it on the Facebook. What do I look up for the Facebook?
Okay, I'm gonna put the link in the chat.
On this?
Yeah, I'm gonna put the link in the live chat.
Okay, I'm
So all you
learning.
gotta
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's all
That's
right.
okay, Valerie. We'll all teach you. So let's go back to True. Go ahead and make your closing thoughts and remarks, and again, let us know where we can find you, True.
Again, thank you for having me a part of the panel, Grace. Much appreciated. Just wanted to make a point. I think that, again, like I said through the broadcast, you know, who eats first, the husband or the kids, you know, it's very metaphorically based around structure, you know, respect, gesture, love. As a few people on the panel have said, it's a nuance, you know, it doesn't really matter per se, but I do think that it is extremely important that we do keep some things, you know, intact if we're talking about trying to build strong families. So that's what I have to say about that. I could be found on YouTube, same for name, True Table, as it's spelled on here, Instagram, Facebook, as well as TikTok. I talk about some of these topics, and anytime you need my assistance, Grace, more than happy to help. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so
Been a
much,
pleasure.
because I know Gary is trying to help me with my intro. I got to get that together. So we're going to get it together, and I'm not even, you know, stressing it. I'm not going to let not having an intro not do my show. You understand what I'm saying?
You're doing your thing.
Thank you so much. And thank you
Build
for
it as
coming
you fly,
again.
baby.
Yes. So,
Absolutely. Israel, go ahead and close out. Now, you know, I'm going to have to time you because you could talk. So Israel, say your final. First of all, I want to thank you for coming, because I know you've supported the JVJ network. You supported me, but I wasn't expecting you to see you tonight. And I like that. Thank you so much for that, because you're one of the OGs too. So go ahead and say your final thoughts and let us know where we can find you.
Oh, no, most definitely. A great topic tonight. It's a conversation we definitely need to continue and have. Great panel tonight. You can find me anywhere on social media at VB in Israel. I am the People's Champ. You can find me here on YouTube, VB in Israel, the People's Podcast, Facebook, Instagram. Holla at your boy anytime. I'm there. See, I kept it short and sweet.
Awesome. Now, Valerie, I know you don't have a channel, but this may give you motivation or something.
We're going to get her a
you can
channel.
always come on here. Right? Right?
Nothing
The Italian queen.
It would be nothing
We're
but
going to get her a channel.
channel. I do like this, though. I really enjoy it. I've never done this before, so thank you for showing me and getting me through that, because I didn't know how to get on here. I was like, I think I'm doing something wrong. Thank you. I'm going to come on next Monday because I'm out of work early. There's a 3-hour time difference, so it's 5:30 my time, 8:30 New York time. I'm in Las Vegas, guys. I think you're all back in New York.
Oh.
Okay.
No,
yeah,
I'm in Georgia.
I'm
Are
in
you
Charlotte.
Carolina?
I'm in New York City. I'm in New York City.
I'm in Cali, so we're good.
Oh, you're out here with my side.
Mhm.
Oh boy, I hope you're not in
Yep.
those fires.
No, no.
Thank goodness.
Look how she put her glasses on, just like a teacher.
Girl, because I can't see it. I have a LASIK appointment tomorrow. I'm hoping to get my eyes fixed. I go tomorrow for my
I know
consultation.
that's,
I'm tired of
I
glasses.
know that's right.
Getting old sucks.
I hear you. Well, guys, I want
Ain't
to
that
say
the
again,
truth?
thank you for
Nice
coming
to meet
on.
you.
I really do appreciate it. Now I'm on to the next topic. That's going to be a touchy one too. You know,
Ooh.
and it's
Can
an
you give us
easy
a
one for
few-
me, but it's a touchy one for people.
What is the
You know,
topic?
so I'm going to go ahead.
30?
The topic is going to be who sits in the front, who gets shotgun, mom or the daughter-in-law.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying?
Husband's
Yeah.
driving. Oh, well, you
husband's
just
driving.
let the wife drive and put your mother-in-law next to you. That's what I always did. My husband sat in the back, no argument.
You see?
I did this already. I did
It's not that hard. It's just not that hard. It's egos involved where one is trying to upshow the other. It's the classic story of the mother still trying to hold on, where then you have the daughter who has to try to exert against the mother, and then and this is where you get that.
person. Oh no, I'm so glad the times I was married, I was married more than once. I liked both my mother-in-laws, so I never had the issue. I would never marry a guy that I couldn't get along with his mother or family. That's a whole thing, right? Don't put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
That's a losing battle.
Listen, and of course, and of course, you know, again, and just a quick thought on that, you know, if you are the loving wife and again, it's about, okay, this is an elderly person, it's an elderly person. Everybody can't get in and out of a back seat. So you might need to let them sit in the front. You take that back seat, because at the end of the day, that is also showing love and respect to somebody who is older than you. So, you know, these young egos these days where some people are sitting here acting like they don't understand how this works. Because again, once again, we got into a society where we've gotten away from the simple word of about, you know, showing honor and respect to their elderly. So because of those things, we got to question it.
For next week, because those, I like it. I like it. And Valerie, I never even thought of it the way you thought of it.
Oh,
You
hell
see?
yeah. My
With the husband sitting in the back seat and the lady sitting in the front.
Hangs out with the
Well,
kids.
in that scenario, we can't be afraid to disappoint mom. Christ warned us. It wasn't going to be peace there. He came to bring division between the mother and the daughter-in-law. That's gonna happen.
Yeah,
we got to manage that. That's all. We just got to manage that, not shy away from it. Like my brother just said, hey, mom might need to sit in the front, but if mom don't have no reason to be in the front, why is mom even in the car? That's what I want to know. Where is she going?
Listen, we all got to go to the Cheesecake Factory now. Come on now.
Where the hell is daddy at? Where is dad at? I got questions.
Listen, I've been in those situations where both parents were sitting in the back and because they sitting there going, shoot, we going to let these young folks drive. Let these young folks drive us.
Let us sit next to dad in the back. They'll be all right.
Yep. It's all about
I know that's right. Well, guys, again, thank you so much.
But I do think that's going to be a good conversation that I think about it. Because dudes penalize their moms too much sometimes.
Come on in.
Listen, you gotta remember what they told Rocky.
Men, mama's boys.
Look, we gotta remember what they told Rocky. Save some for the sequel.
What?
Yeah, that's a little warm up for next week, y'all. We need y'all a little taste of it, you know. I'm gonna be here for that one. That's gonna be a good one.
Look, guys, thank you so much. And thank y'all for embracing. I really appreciate y'all.
See you next week. Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Have a great night. Everybody be cool and safe.
Bye, guys.